The microphone was muted. There we go. I finally know what's going on now. Well, that's ruined my VOD that I'm going to put up later for everybody to watch the thing later on. Just chatting with Kev. There we go. I guess I should be able to chop up some of it.
That is a disgrace.
Oh, frustrating. I wanted to have this like live VOD up properly. So, so I could have people I could leave it as being public on YouTube, and then people could watch it. But I'm just gonna have to try and chop out the bit at the start before the thing begins. Oh yeah, shit. Yeah, let's do it together with Kev. Bingo. That's what I was looking for. That's why I opened up Discord. It was to find you all the bingo cards. Let me pop that in chat for you.
And if I'm going to live rent-free in his head...
On Salford now on ITV1. It's Sunak versus Starmer, the ITV debate.
We're live in Salford for the very first time in this election. It's Sunak versus Starmer, the ITV debate. It's the first head-to-head debate in the 2024 general election with these two men who want to run the country, Rishi Sunak and Keir Starmer.
I don't think it'll get copyrighted, no.
Well, good evening. Tonight's debate is set against the toughest of backdrops. Since the UK last went to the polls, we've had a pandemic, Putin's invasion of Ukraine, and a cost of living crisis which is still hitting families hard. Huge geopolitical threats loom large, not least, of course, climate change. We all know how tough it's been. We don't need the politicians to remind us. So what are these two men going to offer us? Who are they? And why should they earn our vote? Can they level with us when we know that finances are almost impossibly tight? Later tonight, you'll be able to see what other parties are offering when they're interviewed live.
Ah, yes, they are impossibly tight. That's definitely not indeed a priming of how macroeconomics should work so that people don't expect anything other than austerity. Nice editorialisation there, ITV.
Please.
Thank you very much. This election is all about a choice. More of the chaos and division we've seen for the last 14 years, or turning the page and rebuilding with Labour. I have ambition for our country and have a practical plan to deliver it. I've changed the Labour Party and put it back in the service of working people. Now I'm seeking your backing to...
Right, how you doing, Kev? You're right.
I'm all right.
There's a bit of a... sorry for the crossed wires there with the look, because I genuinely wasn't sure how to pause the fucking live stream. But it turns out if you just click watch from the start, it treats it like as if it was a VOD rather than otherwise.
Right, but I've now got to sign in. I've got to try and remember my ITVX sign in for Firefox.
I mean, I can share it with you.
Oh, if you want to just do that, that would also work perfectly well. Yes.
Let me get that shared. ITV share.
So you are now in total control of the situation. Yes.
There we go. Sorted.
There we go. Here we go. I mean, that is
change our country
Joker pause.
to make it work once again for you and your family.
Yeah, perfect.
Thank you. Rishi Sunak.
Uncertain times call for a clear plan and bold action. So I'll keep this simple. In 5 weeks, either Keir Starmer or I will be Prime Minister. Beyond raising your taxes and raiding your pensions, no one knows what Labour would actually do. But you know what
It's interesting that he immediately starts with saying, well, I mean, you've said all of these things you want to do. I, however, think you don't have anything you want to do. And I'm just like, oh, okay, sure. I guess you're not going to talk about anything that you do.
Well, I just wanted to say, what is a woman? Because you know it's going to happen tonight.
True.
So.
Have you got your bingo card sorted, Kev?
Oh shit! I forgot to even set that up. I'm on fucking fire tonight. Jesus Christ. No, go for it. I'll get it set up. 1 second.
I would do. I'll cut your taxes, protect your pension, and reduce immigration. I have a clear plan for a more secure future for you and your family.
Thank you, Rishi Sunak. Well, we invited viewers from right across the country to submit questions.
Honestly, this is the
questioners here with us this evening.
This is the immovable object of boredom versus the irresistible force of boredom tonight. So get ready for an absolute belting debate, everybody.
Have voted Conservative and Labour in the past and think they will do so on July the 4th. And some have voted for other parties or are undecided. You can join the debate wherever you are by using the hashtag #ITVDebate. And just before we go to our first question, a reminder that each leader will have 45 seconds to respond initially. Now, our first question on the cost of living.
I'm actually very right-wing and I loved it.
Good evening, both. I have worked since I was 15 years old, and at the moment I hold a full-time, stable job. My children have left home. In the last few years, I found it very difficult to make ends meet, and the money simply doesn't go far enough. All I do is work to live. My food bill is nearly doubled. I'm in arrears with my bills. I spend my weekends batch cooking, so I don't have to turn on my oven in peak times. My savings are gone and I'm genuinely worried about my future. I don't think you actually understand how this is for people like me. So what can you do about that?
Thank you very much indeed, Paula, for your question. Rishi Sunak.
Well, Paula, I know how much of a strain the last few years have put on your family finance.
No, you don't.
No, you obviously don't, mate. No. Like, that's so obviously ridiculous.
Yeah, of course, the person who definitely knows what real people have to live through is the man who's married to the, like, multi-millionaire who literally never worked a real job in his life, just, like, again, moving numbers around at Goldman Sachs.
Yeah.
In our country. And that's why my priority has always been to do what I can to support you. That started with bold action, like the furlough scheme during the pandemic, and more recently, my clear plan to bring inflation back to normal. And now, our economy is growing again, wages are rising, and crucially, we are able to now start cutting your taxes. But I know you're only just starting to see the benefits of that, as you described. So the choice at this election is with my clear plan and bold action to keep cutting your taxes to give you financial security, or put all that progress at risk with higher taxes, £2,000 worth of higher taxes under the Labour Party.
Thank you, Rishi Sunak. Keir Starmer.
What £2,000 of higher taxes are you talking about?
The meat taxes. Don't forget the meat taxes that are definitely a thing that people are talking about now. Yes.
I mean, they've not announced any taxes. That's our principal criticism, is they're not actually taxing people, like, or at least not the rich at the very least. Like, that's our criticism.
But this is conservatism. This is conservatism everywhere. In America, I wish Joe Biden was as based as the Republicans describe him, and I wish Rishi Sunak's description of Keir Starmer remotely comported with reality. It would be amazing.
Exactly. And on top of that, he says we had a clear plan to bring down inflation. What? Sitting around and waiting? Because that's what happened.
Yeah, exactly. Just feeding poor people into the furnace. What's wrong with that? True.
Basically, it's what we like Conservatives to do, after all.
True.
Paula, I'm really sorry to hear the position that you're in. It must be really, really difficult on a daily basis. And there'll be millions of people watching this who feel in a similar position to you, that the cost of living crisis is really bearing down on them with constant worry. I'm not going to pretend that Ukraine and COVID hasn't made things worse, but this government has lost control. Liz Truss crashed the economy.
Amusingly, the the bingo card only has Sunak blames Ukraine. Although, however, he did just say Tories crashed the economy, which is immediately going to tick on my bingo card. Oh shit, the ITV News debate is on YouTube. Well, that makes it far easier than having on fucking
her
ITV
life is at the moment. You did
Right, let me stop sharing this one and then actually start sharing the YouTube tab, because that's way fucking easier than fucking around with ITV bloody X.
Yes, the player that nobody uses for anything other than the thing they have to.
Literally.
Yeah. Tofu tax, more like the meat tax. True. Don't forget, if you're watching on YouTube as well, you can do bits messages. No, you can't. That's on Twitch, you twat. You can do super chats, or you can become a member for as little as 99 pence, or indeed gift subs to the community on both of our channels, which you should do.
You can do both of those things in our excellent and incredibly professional channel.
Killing it. Absolutely killing it.
Thank you, whoever in the chat mentioned that the ITV debate was on their YouTube channel as well. That's probably why we're not getting copyright cucked.
Almost certainly, I imagine, yes. I was prepared for that. That's why I've done the dual stream thing where you can just switch one of them off. That's always worthwhile.
Exactly.
Through that the plan is working, it's all right. I meet so many people who are struggling with their bills, and the Prime Minister just keeps saying he lives in a different world. That
could you? But if people are struggling with their bills, why do you want to make it harder for them by saddling them with £2,000 worth of higher taxes? How is that going to make Paula or anyone's life easier?
Could you respond directly to Rishi Sunak?
This is the Prime Minister who's been part of a government that has put up tax 26 times. The last manifesto that they had in 2019 said we won't put up national insurance. This man then put up national insurance. He's the British expert on tax rises. They're at the highest level for 70 years. And he's got the gall to say other people are going to.
I know you're going to hear a lot about the past in this election, but this election is about the future. This election is about the future.
Don't talk about our record or anything. No.
As we now are. You want to put everyone...
Literally, it's like, how dare you talk about all of the things that I did when I was in government? And he can't get away from any of it, apart from like the tiny Liz Truss period. He's either been Chancellor of the Exchequer or he's been Prime Minister. There is no way of him being able to face up to the fact that he literally cannot get away from it.
You are a liar.
Yeah, like that's it.
Everyone's taxes up by £2,000. And this is really important. Independent Treasury officials have costed Labour's policies, and they amount to a £2,000 tax rise for every working family. No, this is important. Mark my words. Labour will raise your taxes. It's in their DNA. Your work, your car, your pension.
Thank you. Okay,
you name it,
sorry,
Labour will tax it.
I'm just going to draw breath there a moment, please, gentlemen. We're going to be talking about tax again later on.
I
just want to bring this part of the debate back very firmly to Paula's question. She made it very clear how hard her life is at the moment. You did acknowledge it, both of you. She spends her weekends batch cooking so she doesn't have to turn her oven on during peak times. There is worry here.
It's also worth pointing out as well is that I think the numbers for how much the tax rises are means that I don't think they're taking into account the fact that some of this is going to come out of borrowing rather than out of taxation. So I think that's just basically a straight up lie. And again, like, I wish they were taxing rich people.
Lying. That's amazing. I would never have thought Rishi Sunak would lie. He seems like such an honest young man.
Either of our political leaders, imagine them lying. What a crazy thing.
No, I don't believe it. I don't.
Also, is there anything that I miss here from the... I've not been paying attention to the bloody... I mean, he did say, like, it's in their DNA, which is basically same old Labour, so I'm going to give myself that.
Did Sunak say long-term decisions? He might have said that, but I can't remember.
Well, he'll almost certainly say it again at some point.
Yeah.
Here, right before our eyes, that were being echoed across the country.
Also, not answering questions straight away.
They literally had to be told to answer the question properly.
Yeah, like literally said, "Can you answer the question from him?" And he just went, "Well, he raised taxes." Yeah, but that's not the question. The question is, are you going to raise taxes? Jesus.
Exactly, or how you're going to help us with the cost of living crisis.
Yeah.
And they're both, like, I mean, to be fair, at least Keir Starmer said, well, we have a plan of some description. I'm not sure what it is, but there is a plan, apparently. There's a mission to grow the economy and press the big red button.
Yes. Where's we've got the bingo URL. Hang on, you sent that to me, didn't you?
Sorry,
No,
my chat are asking to lower your audio. I have lowered your audio. Like,
my audio?
Yeah, like,
apparently I can move the microphone slightly further away from me, if that's of any use.
Okay, fair enough. For some reason, they were saying that you were really loud. I tried turning you down, but apparently that's not worked. I'm very confused.
Well, I have done my best. And that's very rarely enough, but it's going to have to be for tonight.
Okay.
I don't think you understand how hard it is for people like me. What are you going to do about it? How do you actually connect with Paula? Rishi Sunak?
Well,
I don't. She's a northern.
My actions.
Or she's not somebody who went to one of the very prestigious public schools and/or universities that I went to.
Yeah, she's not a posh northern. She's one of these. She's probably eaten a pie. I don't connect with her. I would put her into a fucking mincing machine to make the red line go up. Fuck you all.
Yeah,
like, honestly, considering he's already on the beach, metaphorically, or very soon, literally, just come out and just do it. Just do it, Rishi. Just go, fuck them. They're cunts. I hate northern people. I don't like southern people, if I'm honest with you. Poor people in general disgust me. I try not to go near them. Honestly, I'm going to have to bathe in Purell after being in the same room as this fucking fetid garbage. Because you know that's what he thinks.
Yeah, it's
that would just be honest, you know?
Oh, by the way, guys, can you make sure you try and clip as much as you can if we get any good bits, just so it makes me easier for making clips and things, at least for TikTok. If you can and if you would like to. Of course, it's never expected, but always appreciated.
Yeah. You saw what I did during the pandemic. When disaster struck our country, I implemented the furlough scheme because
you went fucking eat out to help out and killed loads of people, you cunt. That's not something to boast about. You've got the blood of thousands on you.
And you literally got a fixed penalty notice for not obeying the rules that you'd set.
Yeah. Was it him that was giving head to Boris Johnson? Because I would respect that at least. Absolutely, I don't think it was, though.
It's not who you know, right? It's who you blow.
Exactly. Get to the top on your knees. Let's go.
The impact, devastating impact it would have on people. And you know what? Every week when I'm out and about, someone comes up to me and tells me how furlough saved their family, saved their home, because that's who I am. And I don't want to put that progress at risk. I want to keep delivering financial security by cutting people's taxes.
Thank you.
Whereas the Labour Party want to keep putting people's taxes up, and that's not going to help anyone overcome the challenges they're facing.
Paula wants to know what you're going to do about it.
Yeah, well, I think what you put to the Prime Minister is, how does he connect? And Paula, what I would say is this. My dad worked in a factory. He was a toolmaker.
Toolmaker. How long has that been? How long has it been? 15 minutes. All it took was 15 minutes. 15 minutes, and we've already had the toolmaker mention. Love it.
Fuck yes.
Cheers, Keith.
Oh, it's not on this one. Fuck.
No, it's not on mine either. No.
Oh no. The one time. Oh, you bastards. Can we have Sunak blames COVID? I think so. Yeah, fuck it. Well, I'm having Sunak blames COVID. I'm just fuck it. Go on.
Sure.
Didn't have a lot of money when I was growing up, and we were in a position on occasion where we couldn't pay our bills. So I know how that feels. In our particular case, we had our phone cut off because we didn't have the money. So I do know the anguish of worrying.
Pebble Dash semis there. Come on, mate. Oh, gutted. Sorry, go on.
With the bill, what is that bill going to be? Can I pay
Are you saying
I don't think the Prime Minister quite understands the position that you and other people are in. I do want to, if I may, just answer that.
No,
please.
I've got Starmer nerves.
Because this election is about the future and making people's lives better. Now, I've got a clear plan to ease those anxieties that Paula and everyone is facing, because things are tough. I want to make them easier by continuing to cut your taxes. The difference at this election is Keir Starmer is going to put your taxes up by £2,000.
Thank you.
So if people are worried about their electricity bill,
Why isn't Starmer coming out and saying, no, I'm not going to do that? Because he doesn't care about lying. So even if he's planning to do that, you have to come out and say, oh, I'm not going to do that. Right?
Yeah, like you think of I mean, I guess they're trying to do these 45-minute sections where they don't interrupt, but as somebody who's spent a lot of my time watching the Hippy Dippy Roundtable, nah, give me some fucking blood sports. Shout over each other. Call him a prick.
Yeah, exactly. Just say, look, the Prime Minister is a fucking cock. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's not grounded his moral axioms at all. So...
Actually, that's a really good point in chat as well. No, so in the Corbyn and Johnson debate, it was literally just about policy. They didn't have to keep talking about their background or who they were. It was just like, no, here's the actual policies we're talking about.
Yeah.
Also, he did say things like, I think he said Labour's, like, we had a clear plan or something. I don't know if that's even on the bingo card. There's somebody else's bingo card, so...
I am going to stop. I am going to.
£2,000 worth of tax rises are not going to help with any of those things.
Should he just sigh?
I am going to draw a line under this part of the debate. We're going to be talking about tax again later on. And also to both of you, we'll be talking about that. Paula, thank you very much indeed for your question. We're now going to go to the issue of health and social care, which, like some other issues that may come up in tonight's debate, is a devolved area. That means policies set directly in Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland, and the UK government sets policy for England. So our next question is about the health service, and it's from Janet from Telford. Janet.
Thank you. I've interacted more with the NHS lately than the average person. I'm a cancer survivor. My son is a nurse. I recently lost a cousin who was waiting for surgery. No one is brave enough to tell us the truth. The NHS is broken. Be honest with us. How long will it take to fix it?
Thank you very much indeed, Janet. Keir Starmer.
Janet, I'm really sorry to hear about your own position and that of your relatives. My wife works in the NHS in one of the big London hospitals. My mum was a nurse, my sister was a nurse, so the DNA, it runs through my
Twice! DNA. He's done mum works, was a nurse twice already. Fucking hell. He's a meme. He's just a meme. That's all he is.
I mean, the thing is that people mentioned to me before saying things like, well, you know, not everybody pays attention to politics as much as we do. They might not know that his dad is a toolmaker and his mum was a nurse. And I'm just like, surely everyone's fucking heard it at this point. Surely everyone and their mum knows at this point that his dad was a toolmaker and his mum was a nurse.
You would think so, but I mean, he's not going to stop, is he? Like, it's been years now, and he just does it all the fucking time.
Oh my god! Literally,
it's the only thing he has that makes him seem like a vaguely normal person. You know, like he can't. What can he say? Well, I was a lawyer, and maybe I kind of went soft on Jimmy Savile. Like, no, like, what can he do? I was a prick who let loads of really evil people go for ease of my job. You know, like, grim.
And you can imagine just how angry I am that it's been broken, and it has been broken exactly as you describe. It's unforgivable what's happened to the NHS, and to come into power for 14 years and leave the NHS in a worse state than when you found it is unforgivable in politics. And Rishi Sunak stood 18 months ago, Janet, and said that those waiting lists, which are now nearly 8 million, he said he'll get them down. He made a promise. He said he'd be held accountable. They were 7.2 million at the time. Now they're 7.5 million. So they've gone up, and that bears down on the NHS.
Thank Rishi Sunak.
Well, Janet, thank you for sharing your story, and I'm glad.
Like, I feel like this is just going to be a walk in the park for Starmer. All he has to do is just go, look at the shit state the country is in. He doesn't have to say what he's going to do even at all. He can just go, these guys are terrible. How much worse could it be if you elect me? And things like it's unforgivable to destroy the NHS. I think that's a really good line.
It is, and he answered that pretty professionally. And like you say, anything that needs him to say what he wants to do, or indeed anything about his personality or anything, he's not going to do very well on. But bits where he can just go, look how shit these fucking pricks have made this, is absolutely gold for him. And he answered that well.
Yeah.
Glad that you've recovered. And I'm sorry for your loss as well. Now, my dad was a GP, My mum was a pharmacist, so I'm speaking as someone who was brought up in the NHS, surrounded by people who dedicated their lives to it. And the evenings in my house, growing up, my parents spoke about how they could provide more care for their patients, like you. And that's how I think about the NHS. And of course it's difficult, and you're right, and we have to be honest about the damage that COVID has done and the time it will take to recover from that. But we've put record funding in, we're training more
record
doctors and nurses,
NHS funding.
we're doing more checks and scans, and what I want you to
I've not
know
on mine.
is that the NHS is safe in my hands. I will always stand up for it to give you and everyone else the peace of mind that it will be there for you and your families when you need it.
Thank you very much. Janet put this question. Keir Starmer agreed with the part of that question that the NHS is broken. Your response to that, Rishi Sunak?
Well, as Janet knows and everyone knows, the NHS is still recovering from COVID. We went through the best part of 2 years where the NHS couldn't conduct all the treatments it normally would, and it is going to take time to recover from that. But we are now making progress. The waiting lists are coming down. But what Keir Starmer
honestly, if the Tories were in power for another
20
20 years, they'd still be blaming Ukraine and COVID.
True. I mean,
It would never stop.
I mean, even during like this parliament, like since the war in Ukraine and COVID, since then they've still blamed like Labour for the Liam Byrne note in the Treasury. Like they still say Labour left us with no money left. Like they still blame Labour for this shit. Yeah.
And that was only ever meant to be a joke anyway. That was like a kind of wink, wink, nudge, nudge thing for Parliament, you know. And they went fucking look, see, this is an official party statement or something. What the fuck?
Literally, it's supposed to be a meme.
2 million, they're now 7.5 million. He says they're coming down, and this is the guy who says he's good at maths.
Yeah, they are now coming down.
Even the Prime Minister gets laughed at.
7.2 million, they're now 7.5 million.
Literally, after all of those weeks, we watch Question Time every week. Every week the Tory gets laughed at. Now on the biggest debate stage in the country, on primetime TV, the leaders debated the election. Rishi Sunak, still getting laughed at.
You're literally a bunch of clowns, lads. Well done.
I'd like you to explain how they're coming down.
Because they were coming down from where they were when they were higher. And they're now on their way down. They are down. Yes, because the NHS was impacted by industrial action. And if it wasn't...
Blames the strikes! No. Blames the strikes! Blames the strikes! I'll tick that one off. There we go.
Oh, I haven't got that one. Bollocks. But yeah, honestly, mate, you got... Your line got a bigger laugh at you than his line against you. You burned yourself worse than he burnt you. What the fuck? Honestly, self-ownership. He's an anarchist. Honestly,
it's a real David Lammy moment, isn't it?
That's a beauty. What are you? Oh my God, he's just absolutely torched himself.
Reminds me of. Do you remember like the 7-leader debate from 2017 where Amber Rudd, Amber Rudd specifically said, if you want to know what to do, judge us on our record, and then the whole fucking crowd laughs. It's really great because there's literally says
Theresa May as Prime Minister refused to do it, so she sent Amber Rudd instead.
After Amber Rudd, after her dad had died, like that's how much of like an absolute fucking piss kidney.
Piss kidney. Oh yes. Piss kidney, lovely Peep Show reference.
Yeah, absolutely.
Million appointments would have been saved.
So somebody else's fault.
No, but let me address the question, because, as you said, Julie, the NHS has devolved. So different parties are responsible for the NHS in different parts of the United Kingdom. Keir Starmer's party are responsible for it in Wales. Now, the NHS has been impacted by COVID everywhere. But things are difficult in England, I know that. But if you were in Wales, you would be waiting 40% longer for treatment. Ambulance and A&E times are the worst in Great Britain, and 1 in 4 people are on a waiting list. So yes, the NHS has challenges, but it has challenges.
And again, it's really important everybody understands that the waiting list calculation is different in Wales, and also, despite it being a devolved matter, they still have to rely on funding from Westminster, which is oftentimes insufficient, especially for the kind of geography that you get in Wales. So it's not an accurate comparison.
No, that's fair. That's a fair point.
Everywhere, regardless of the party that's in charge.
I'm looking at Janet's response when all the Prime Minister can say to her is that what the position is in Wales. Janet, I don't know. You may not be interested in the position in Wales. You may be interested in the position that you're facing and want a Prime Minister who takes responsibility for what he is responsible for. But what you'll get with the Prime Minister is somebody who makes a promise saying, I will be held personally responsible for bringing those waiting lists down. Yeah. At the moment they don't come down, what does he do? He blames everybody else.
Keir Starmer...
What did personal responsibility...
Also, as much as this is an excellent point and also makes Sunak deciding to create all of these different pledges that he would do all of those years ago, make him look like a fucking idiot for pretending that he could do these things that he didn't.
Yeah.
It's also pretty rich talking about breaking promises coming from Sir Keith.
Sir Keith mentioning this is, I mean, there is the brass neck is the phrase I would use on that. But yeah, he's unbelievable, but he's absolutely tearing him though. You've got to say, like, for your average person who doesn't give a fuck about the ethical case for socialism or any of that, right? Who doesn't know that he's a fucking piece of shit, who probably only just heard of Keir Starmer's name because it was on the TV tonight after the chase or whatever it was. Yeah, they don't know all of that. They just see two blokes duking it out, and he's absolutely killing him right now.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Sunak's looking like a real car horse here.
Yeah.
Actually, sorry, can I just intervene there and ask very specifically then, Keir Starmer, what would you do about the doctor strikes that Rishi Sunak raised? Can you answer that very directly to Rishi Sunak?
We've got to resolve them, and for months and months and months, the Prime Minister hasn't resolved them. They've been arguing about who gets in the room. You've got to get in the room, you've got to resolve it because the NHS needs to get back to work. But we've also got to bring down the waiting list. We've got a plan for 40,000 extra appointments every week. That's 2 million a year to bring those waiting lists down. They're at a record high. And under the last Labour government, the record was...
Last Labour government! Last Labour government! I mean, I've got mentions winning in 97, but I'm going to go with last Labour government anyway, because that's basically the same thing. But I know he's not wrong. I mean, he's not wrong that was one thing they definitely did get right under the last Labour government, and they should definitely continue to say this about the NHS if they want to look good in this debate. Yeah. But what's interesting as well is that I think he could have pushed harder and saying, well, hang on a minute, no, like, the strikes are your fault. Like, you can't just blame the strikes as being some kind of uncontrollable outside force. Say, for example, like COVID in Ukraine. No, it's your fault. You didn't resolve the strikes. You've been trying to run down the clock on trying to ensure inflation comes down so that their pay demands look less reasonable. And Steve Barclay didn't bother negotiate with them for 6 months after they started talking about strike action. That's literally your fault in government. You can't blame somebody else for that.
True. That I know what you mean there, and that would be the right thing. But I think it's actually good politics from his perspective because he doesn't want to make this about trade unionism. Because he doesn't like trade unionism, but has to sort of hold fire because he relies on that money. And secondly, he doesn't want Sunak to come back with, see, you're just in the pocket of the trade unions. So that's why I said when he answered the question, well dodged. He said a couple of quick lines, got the main point out there, and then went straight back to waiting lists. Well dodged. That's actually a good piece of politics. Rare from Keith, but he did well there, I think.
It's like watching Vosh himself.
Indeed.
Satisfaction in the NHS at a record high. That's completely been turned on its head.
Okay, Rishi Sunak.
I'm really grateful for everyone in the NHS for working so hard, and we have now settled pay rises with everyone in the NHS except for the junior doctors. And of course I want to do that, to make sure it's fair and affordable though. But despite being offered the most generous pay settlement anywhere in the NHS, and indeed the public sector, the union are demanding a 35% pay rise, and I don't want to raise your taxes to pay for that, because I don't think it's right. But I will
raise your own taxes then, you cunt.
And also on top of that, like, why are these people applauding? Why was I really hate doctors getting paid fairly for one of the hardest, dangerous jobs in the country, or whatever it might be. Like, having so much pressure put on you, being like the weight of other people's lives. But what I really don't want them is them to get paid a suitable wage to keep them in the NHS. Again, because if we don't pay them, they'll fuck off to Australia. I would much rather be able to have extra tax money in my pocket than pay for the wages of doctors. Like, if all of the public sector wages that you could justify as being something worth paying taxes for, doctors' wages probably pretty reasonable.
Yeah. also, given the fact that we know the Tories like to put plants in every fucking room that these debates happen in question time and all the rest of it, I wouldn't be surprised if there are a fair number of like Tory CCHQ workers there, you know.
When Keir Starmer says he'll resolve it, he hasn't explained to you how. But
OK,
I will say
perhaps
this:
you could answer that, Keir Starmer.
Well, we wouldn't pay the 35%. We've already said that to the doctors. We can't afford it because the government's already broken the economy, and there are many things that now can't be afforded. So we're not going to pay that. But what you can't do is what the Prime Minister has done, which is to
Well, you just said you'd resolve it. So what would you do?
At the end of the day...
So you're not going to give them the 35% pay rise that they're asking for. So how would you resolve it?
Look,
just standing there and saying, I'll resolve it, isn't an answer. That's not a plan.
I mean, Sunak isn't wrong. It's not wrong. I mean, this underpins basically the entirety of the Labour Party campaign up until this point, saying they're going to do things without explaining how they're going to do any of the good things. It's this real corner that he's been boxed into, because he has to either say, we're going to raise taxes, or he's going to say they're going to do cuts in other departments, or he's going to have to try and rhetoric his way out of this.
Yes. That's exactly. But also, I mean, in a general sense, you can't say we're going to offer them X because it's a negotiation. But if you have to explain that, it just seems like you're weaseling your way out of it, even though it's actually just true.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost my assumption is that his response is going to be something like that. So, well, I can't put a figure on it for you because that will happen in the negotiations. But what I will do is treat them with respect and get round the table and have that negotiation, which this government isn't doing. Something like that. That's my guess.
But I mean, let's not gloss over his little fucking rhetorical sleight of hand, which we're going to have to get used to over the course of the next few years with him as Prime Minister. The Tories wreck the economy, so there are lots of things that can't be afforded. It's going to be their answer to whenever they don't want to do anything. The Tories wreck the economy. We can't afford it.
So you remember how like 12 months ago, every single time they were asked about anything, they just said, oh, well, we're going to non-dom tax status, whatever, and that paid for all of their plans. Like, if they had just committed to, like, one wealth tax or an increase in capital gains tax, all of these questions would go away. All of these questions would go away if they just said, we're going to tax people who have £10 million in assets or more. Do you at home have more than £10 million in assets? No, you don't have to fucking worry then, do you? I know, I understand they really don't want to do any tax rises at all. But all of these questions about how they would do things, how they would pay for things, could literally all be answered because it would be like £50 billion worth of tax funding.
Yeah. But we're just going to have to get used to this. Is how they're going to try and keep austerity neoliberalism going, is just have them flip back and forth between Labour and Tory every 10 years or so. And at the end of it, have a there's no money left moment where they've crashed the economy. They've rinsed out loads of money for their friends. They've hollowed things out. And then they go, oh, so there's no money for us to do anything. And then they do the same thing ad infinitum until the country just sinks into the sea or something. I don't know.
Prime Minister,
how would you resolve it?
Prime Minister, your record is...
Well, no, how would you resolve it? You want to be Prime Minister. How would you resolve it?
Oh, Keith, how are you bungling that?
I wish you had as much to say when Liz Truss was crashing the economy.
Could you answer Rishi Sunak's point, please, Keir Starmer?
Well, I will when I can get a word in edgeways.
I mean... he did have lots to say when Liz Truss was crashing the economy. He was the principal person during the leadership debate saying, if we do what Liz Truss is going to do, interest rates are massively going to rise. So you can't use that line when Rishi Sunak was literally the one who didn't get selected as the leader initially because he was too busy living in the real world whilst Liz Truss was living in fucking Fantasyland.
To be fair, you can use that line because none of the normies understand any of that.
True. I mean, they probably weren't even paying attention during the leadership.
Me and you know he's talking shit there. But they don't, and he doesn't give a fuck about us. He does care. I mean, statistically, that makes sense, given that there are a lot more normies than not normies, I guess. But
see, if it was me, I would have just said, unfortunately, Rishi, this is the leadership discussion for who runs the country, not Winchester Boys School Debating Society. You have to let me say what I want to say. That's what I would have done. Just mock him for being posh, because people hate that shit.
True, that would be good, but I mean, that would take a politician of skill and a rhetorician of any ability whatsoever, and he is neither of those things.
So at the end of the day, like, this is Keir Starmer's debate to lose. That's why they didn't want to do it in the first place.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, like I say, neither of them are that great at this, but at least Rishi Sunak, when he does get on a bit of a roll like that, he can press the point. You know, I mean, there's some force behind it. Whereas in general, neither of them are particularly skilled politicians. This is such a great symbol of the shrunken state of modern British politics. That this is the best that our democracy can throw up. These two dickheads, really. Embarrassing.
Of saying, I'm not going to get in the room to negotiate. And what have we got?
No, we've been in the room to negotiate.
What have we got? Ongoing
Let him
strikes.
answer.
We have to end these strikes.
How?
The grown-up way to do
Negotiate.
that is to get in the room and to negotiate with the doctors and come to a settlement. There's only two ways forward. One is a continuing strike, which is what we've had for a very, very long time. We're now 4.5 weeks from election. He's going to kick it into the long grass.
Right.
Or you get grown up, you go in the room and you resolve this. That does not mean you agree with the 35%. We can't afford that.
Thank you.
But we have got to
Right.
settle
But on this point,
I'm going to pause it there.
See, this is why he didn't want to get onto trade unionism. He tried his best to sort of skirt around it, you know.
Yeah, I think you're right. Although, to be fair, it's funny how he kept saying, like, being a grown-up, because I'm just like, yeah, the Liberals love that shit. They love it when you talk about grown-up
Adults in the
politics.
room.
Adults in the room, yeah.
No, I'm going to pause that there, please, because I want to return to another part of Janet's question that you did touch on, that she lost her cousin who was waiting for surgery. These waiting lists are a matter of life and death. A quick point of information to both of you. If you had loved ones on a long waiting list for surgery, would you, if you felt that that was the only way forward, use private healthcare? Rishi Sunak?
Yes.
Keir Starmer?
No.
Absolutely no, if your loved one was on a waiting list for surgery.
That's surprisingly kind of based. I didn't expect that from him.
I mean, the problem is he said that during the leadership election, but that was his point of saying, I'm not going to try and use the private sector. And then along comes Wes Streeting, you know, tens of thousands of pounds worth of private healthcare investment donations in his pockets, saying, actually, we're going to use loads of the private sector.
But that doesn't, it doesn't make, I'm not entirely sure who he's trying to appeal to by saying that, really, because the socialists don't, well, I'm going to vote for you, mate. So, like, and he's not, we know he's not against private healthcare, so why does he, I don't get it. Okay, fair enough.
No.
Thank you very much.
I don't use private health. Okay. I use the NHS. That's where my wife works, in one of the big hospitals, as I said.
Okay. Thank you. We've had the answers to that
so we've had
clearly.
two mum works in the NHS, and we've had what 3 or 4 wife in the NHS now.
Dad was a pharmacist. We've had Dad was a toolmaker. Oh my fucking life! We got 5 more weeks. This Kev. 5 more weeks.
Are we electing these pricks' parents or one of these two? I don't know anymore. Who's actually standing in this fucking
debate on the NHS? Everyone knows that fixing the NHS depends on fixing social care. 5 years ago, Boris Johnson was standing where you both are now. He told me there was a plan ready to go on this. We're still waiting. Will you both
he also
now
said there was
commit to
another
a
ready
fully
Brexit
funded
deal.
solution
The
in your
liar.
manifesto this time round? Yes or no, Rishi Sunak?
Yes, well, we've already implemented charging reform. Pilots are in place to implement the reforms. They will be rolled out later this year, next year.
It'll be fully funded in your manifesto.
We've already given social care an extra 8 billion because the pressures are immediate.
Thank you.
And the pilot reforms are there for charging.
OK, we heard that answer. Yes or no?
We will have a plan for social care, and like everything else in our manifesto,
oh God,
fully costed and fully funded.
We will have a plan
with the workforce.
I mean, they have
we
a national.
will have a plan. You've got nothing. You're just a hollow husk of a human being. We will have a plan. We will have an industrial strategy. What do you mean you will? We need to know what you want to do now because we need to fucking vote for you now.
Yeah, it's true. We will again. We will be. Was it? The people need change, and we will be that change that we bring about. Something like that. That's like the be all and end all of his policy on these things.
Yeah.
Because, as you know, one of the biggest problems in social care is that the workforce is fragmented, poor conditions, and many people.
Thank you.
Well, you talk about the workforce. If I could just pick up on this workforce question, because it is important, because there's no way to get Janet and everyone else the care they need without a workforce.
Okay.
But the British Medical Association has warned that Keir Starmer's pension tax risks an exodus of doctors, because we're talking about doctors from the NHS.
OK, we are going to... No, gentlemen, please.
It's all joined up.
Actually,
but it's all joined joined up, but this is an important point.
Thank you very much indeed. We're going to come...
Sunak looking like a petulant child there, doing his usual "how dare you talk down to me" moderator thing, which everyone hates that. Everyone hates that when you do that.
You're just reminding everyone that you're a rich public school boy prick who doesn't like to be told no.
Literally.
Like, I'm above you. No, you can't interrupt me, actually. I'm talking. Which,
like,
that won't well.
There's a real line here between being...
So go on.
Yeah, like it's really like there's a real kind of like line you have to toe between looking really belligerent like Sunak is now, between him calling people out when they don't answer questions like he did beforehand. Like he clearly was below the line before, but this is way over the line in terms of the optics.
Yeah, people don't mind you interfering with the other person on the panel necessarily because they're also like a kind of powerful dickhead, and that's sort of seen as leadership or whatever. But it's like you said, there's a difference between being assertive and being belligerent and being petulant.
Yeah, exactly.
And he so far goes over that line at times that, look, he thinks that plays well because he thinks he's making a political point. They don't remember that. People, look, like, we know that normies react to vibes more than policy. And the vibes right now are fucking awful. Rishi, come on now.
Come on to tax very shortly. I am going to say, yes,
he's still going
through a lot of what we're discussing this evening. We will return very specifically to it, and I just want to stay on the issue of public services and take a quick fire on education. Okay, we've had Harry, a message from Harry, who's a teacher just starting out, and Deborah, who has been a primary school head for 40 years. They've both been in touch with us to tell us effectively the same thing, that they cannot believe how bad things are in their sector. They want to know what you can do for them. Rishi Sunak.
Yes, well, I think education is the most powerful way that you can transform people's lives. That was something that...
I mean, maybe you should have thought of that before you as Chancellor very specifically, slashing the number of school renovations from 400 down to 50, which is why we had the position where the school roofs started collapsing the day they had to go back to term. They had to shut the whole fucking school down.
Yeah. Like you literally hollowed all of that out, Rishi.
Yeah, and that's him as Chancellor of the Exchequer. He specifically made the call to do that. So he literally cannot bullshit. Like, if Starmer comes out looking worse out of this one, he's like, it's all over. Like, because the Tories cannot get away from how they fucked education. They fucked it so badly. You cannot, like, from Michael Gove's stupid like curriculum stuff towards how they failed investment towards all of the rat concrete stuff. Like, there's nothing that they can win on with this one.
True. Oh, thank you, everyone. Thank you for the gifted subs, everyone. We're on a hype train. If you want to contribute to the hype train, bits and subs, etc. If we get to level 3 of the hype train, I will finger the prime ministerial qualities of Rishi Sunak, which I did.
Absolutely. And also, I thank you, Jack Miller, for the 5 gifted on my end as well. I much appreciate for the support.
That my parents raised me with, and I'm grateful to all our teachers for what they're doing, which is why we're backing our schools with record investment at the moment, but also reforming how we teach our kids, which is why I'm proud that right now English school children are the best readers anywhere in the Western world, and that is testament to the hard work of teachers and the reforms of this Conservative government.
Well, there's a pattern here, isn't there? We've just been talking about the NHS, and Janet says it's broken. We've now gone to education, and the teachers say that's broken as well. And I know the Prime Minister has already said in the first however many minutes of the debate that he doesn't want to have anything to do with the last 14 years. I'm sorry, Prime Minister, you may want to just cast it off, but everybody else is living with it. When it comes to schools,
that's a good line, man.
More teachers, because in secondary schools we do not have the teachers we need. So, for example, on key issues like maths, we have maths being taught, and parents watching this will know, by supply teachers, by PE teachers, but not maths teachers. So we would have in place, one of our first steps would be to recruit 6,500 teachers to fill those gaps, which will help the existing teachers who are struggling to cope with the
they come from?
So the magic teacher tree.
You can't grow them. You can't plant teacher seeds and reap a rich harvest of maths teachers. No. Where are they coming from? How are you going to pay for their training, etc.?
The fact that he hasn't mentioned, like, the Rishi Sunak specifically was the one who cut the funding for the school renovation programme. Like, that's literally Rishi Sunak's own doing. Gigantic open goal he's missed there.
Well, maybe he'll get to it, but I suspect not.
tell Rishi Sunak why you're going to raise VAT on private schools to achieve the money that you say you will spend on those extra teachers. Why are you making that choice? Tell Rishi Sunak.
Because I believe every child should have the teachers they need in the core subjects like maths. And I think for a child in a state secondary school who doesn't have a core teacher in something like maths is going to live with that for the rest of their lives. It's not a one-year problem or a two-year problem. If they're in their GCSEs, it's for life. And therefore, we will have 6,500 recruits.
Okay.
We will get rid of the tax break on private schools to pay for it. That's a tough choice. I do understand that.
Tough
It's
choice.
a tough choice.
Tough choice. Tough choice. There we go. Bingo.
Yeah.
I say
True,
not
but he
actually
got-
bingo, but a square on the bingo card. But
Yeah, and he got a round of applause for that, which again just goes to show you, like the Westminster bubble, entirely ensconced in like private school wankery, thinks that this is a really bad policy, but actually it's pretty popular. People don't want a tax break going to Eton kids, or Eton kids' parents specifically.
yeah,
You know?
like yeah, you're 100% right. It polls really well as well.
Mm.
And I want to make sure
Yes,
that
thank
children
you.
in our secondary schools get the chances that they
You've
need.
explained the policy. Thank you, Rishi Sunak. If you'd like to respond directly to
I don't
Keir
agree
Starmer.
with it, because I think people who work hard and aspire to provide that education for their kids should have that freedom. That's what my parents did, and I'll support it. But you heard it. Keir Starmer...
They still have that freedom. They just have to pay tax.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Working hard doesn't mean you don't pay tax. That's not how that works, is it?
In fact, the opposite should be true. Like, if you have more money, you should be paying more taxes.
Exactly. These are rich people.
Yeah, not only getting a tax break for a discretionary expenditure, like which you shouldn't be getting, because if people want to take their kids out of secondary school, they'll take their tens of thousands of pounds, because that's how much it's going to cost to send your kid to private school, and they'll probably spend it on other discretionary income, which is also going to be taxed. So even if people leave private school because they don't want to pay it, they'll still pay tax elsewhere, and on top of that, like they're paying money currently untaxed to be able to give their cosseted and disgusting little offspring massive advantages, not in terms of like the quality of education, because I don't think there's a massive gap, but in terms of the people that the opportunities that you get. Over half of the journalists in this country went to private school compared to 7% of the population. Like, it's such a ridiculous kind of educational apartheid that you create, where rich kids only go to school with rich kids and poor kids only go to school with poor kids. It's stupid. And really, they should get rid of it all. Just fuck it off forever. But a taxation, I'll treat it as a compromise.
Yeah, I would ban private schools, frankly. I would happily tear Eton down and use it to drive as gravel for my fucking driveway, frankly. But either way, that's not going to happen, obviously. And what we can do is at least try and level the playing field somewhat. Like that's the lib way, isn't it? Just try and level it a little bit. So yeah, you don't get a fucking tax break. No, fuck you.
Also, somebody in my chat is asking me to sell them on the greens with a TLDR. Taxes on wealth, on capital gains, we've got UBI, we've got green investment, we've got council house building, we've got rent controls, we've got loads of other good stuff.
They'll ban white people.
Oh, nationalising the water industry as well. The ones putting shit in the rivers.
We'll end cis people. That's another green policy.
Every single bus in the country will have "Down with Cis" written on the side.
Good. Lovely stuff.
is going to raise taxes. But that's just the start, because there's a long list of other things that he needs to find the money for. So it's not just going to start and stop there. There are £2,000 worth of tax rises coming for every
stop being a
family
cock
in this country. And as I said, he's saying to you he's going to raise taxes.
I do need to
that's
answer
not the start, and that's not the end.
I do need to answer that, because he's trying to figure out well, what's happened here is it's a classic.
Well, he's fine at least railroaded the moderator one time to get his answer in.
No, but don't be like, I do need to answer that, actually. Can I get in here? No, talk over him. You're allowed to talk over that prick. That's fine. Stop being a cock about it, mate.
It's true.
Can I get a word in edgeway? Just talk over him. You've got a microphone on as well, you prat. We can fucking hear you.
Mm.
Oh, God, it's annoying.
They put in pretend Labour policies to the Treasury and then they get a false readout. So I'll just tell you, what they've put in for this analysis is a mental health policy that isn't the Labour Party's policy. He's put in one of his own policies. He's asked the civil service to cost it. And they've come up with this figure of £2,000. The
They are an independent civil service.
All right, I think in terms...
Put it twice, I do need to do it.
Gentlemen, please, may I just say that people can have a lot of figures to get their heads around tonight. I'm not saying that people are more than capable of calculating that rapidly at home, but I...
Sunak is fucking lying. And you're saying, well, I'm sure the audience can work it out for themselves. He's using a fucking, like, IFS document that no one at home has fucking read to lie about Labour's policies. Now, I fucking hate Labour. I hate Keir Starmer. And Keir Starmer is also a liar, so he doesn't really have much ground to stand on. But the fact that the moderator, the supposedly neutral moderator, is just allowing Keir Starmer to not, or stopping Keir Starmer from being able to respond about a blatant lie about Labour's policy platform is crazy.
Yeah, she's not done a great job so far. But, I mean, neither of the other two. There are three very shit people on that stage.
Yeah.
I do want to actually draw the focus then, given we're on this patch, very specifically onto the question of tax. I want to talk very specifically about tax before we finish this first half of our debate. Can we clarify the similarities in your positions? Please raise your hand if I am wrong. You, as Prime Minister, will not raise income tax. You will not raise national insurance in the next Parliament. And other than Labour on private schools, you will not raise VAT. Thank you for that.
Also, that's stupid. That is really, really scummy framing by saying that Labour are going to raise VAT on private schools. No, VAT is going to stay at the same level. They are applying it to private schools. They're removing the exemption. That's not the same as raising a tax by removing an exemption. The same way that the non-dom tax day is. That wasn't a tax rise. Like, the taxes they will pay will be at the same rate. They're just increasing the levels of eligibility to pay that tax. That's not the same thing. That is a really, really poor editorial by the moderator.
Yeah, the moderator or whoever's writing this, I think, has a clear bent in favour of private school. That's what I'm getting from this. This is, yeah, it's shoddy, biased nonsense. I don't like it.
It's just a really good point from somebody in chat as well, saying that Starmer is doing this like he's speaking to a judge, but he should be thinking like he's speaking to a jury. And I think that's really, really interesting analysis there from somebody in chat.
Actually, that's true. Yeah, he kind of wants... Like, you should be used, I think, to being able to speak over the hubbub, given that that's what Prime Minister's questions is every week. Only you can just carry on. There isn't a speaker there to just be like, no, here, calm down, calm down. You're incorrigible delinquent. No, just carry on. Just carry. You've got a microphone. We can hear you. Just carry on. Ignore him.
Constructive moment. We've had a lot of viewers getting in touch to ask, where is the money coming from to solve the huge challenges raised by Paula, Janet and many others? Are you two gentlemen being honest?
No. We will raise specific taxes, and we've been really clear what they are. We've already dealt with the tax break on private schools. We want to end the non-dom status completely. I think that the super rich should be paying their tax.
There you go.
To get rid of the equity loophole.
How about they pay more tax then, rather than they just pay the same tax as everybody else without their free get out of jail rich people card? How about add a tax? How about do wealth taxes on those who have loads of assets, rather than taxing people who work and make money from engaging in work, which are being taxed very highly at the moment? Whereas it could tax people who have loads of money and assets but don't do any work at all. How about we do that?
But have you considered?
People like it.
Have you considered that would make Rupert Murdoch penis sad?
It's true. It would make Martin Taylor and it would make Clive Hollick very, very angry.
Yeah, that's not acceptable. These are the people that matter. Okay.
Holes that are there again for the super rich, and I think the oil and gas companies should be paying their fair share towards our energy. So we will raise those, but we won't raise the others.
Rishi Sunak.
Yes, well, we have already scrapped the non-dom regime and we have a 75% windfall tax
You've left a
on
loophole.
energy companies, but independent Treasury civil servants have costed Labour's policies and it's £2,000. But you asked for specifics, Julie, so let's have a specific difference.
Please let Mr. Sunak...
Why are they? Why? Hang on, can I just ask?
So that we raise...
Just on a point of the misappropriation of public funding. Why are independent civil servants costing the opposition's policies?
I know, right?
What's that a thing? That's not their fucking purpose at all. That's obviously a misuse of public funding and public office. Not that anything happens, because they'll just go on.
Pensioners and ensure that the state pension is never subject to tax. That's what you'll get under a future Conservative government. Keir Starmer hasn't matched that pledge, which means for the first time in our country's history, if Labour are elected, pensioners will pay tax. I do not think that is right, and you should...
That's, you know what's really funny about all of that? That's their fault. That's their fault that pensioners are going to be paying tax, because these are the people who kept the triple lock, but also engaged in fiscal drag. Like, the reason why pensions are being pulled into paying tax, Rishi, is because you increased their fucking taxes. That is a literal, like, fiscal drag is literally a tax rise. It's not like a change in eligibility. It is a rise in taxes in real terms. And you did that as Chancellor of the Exchequer, Rishi. And also as Prime Minister. That's you. You did that. And you're saying, well, I'm going to protect pensioners from the taxes that I am imposing on them. Whereas Starmer, he is just going to let the taxes that I'm imposing on rich people continue to exist. Like, what? This is ridiculous. What is this framing? Is he even going to get called out for it?
Almost certainly not, because Starmer's shit at this.
Yeah.
I don't think you can rely on the host, because
Explain to everyone why
she's
you
just
think
bought into it completely.
Pensioners will be paying a retirement tax under your government.
Briefly, please,
What the Prime Minister's done so far in the 2 weeks of this campaign is to make desperate gimmicks and put them on the table. He's told us he's going to get rid, it's their policy to get rid of national insurance altogether. That's £46 billion. He said it's their policy to get rid of inheritance tax. That's £10 billion. He says he's going to get rid of tax on pensioners.
You're just talking nonsense. But just answer the specific question. We have committed. I can tell.
Right, so you know at the start, right, when the moderator said, are these people going to be honest with this? And it was obvious it's no. Now we have both potential prime ministers both quoting lies about their opponents' political figures. About lies, explicitly saying lies to each other about their proposed plans for tax and spend. They can't even talk about their own fucking policy. All they can talk about is lies about what the other person is doing. There's been no official pledge to remove national insurance. There was just like a vague idea they might do it if they could in future, if there was the fiscal room for it. That's just not true, what Keir Starmer is saying. And Rishi Sunak about this £2,000 stuff. That's also not true. And then also trying to blame Starmer for taxing for keeping the tax that he's putting on people. What the fuck is this debate?
It's two bullshitters bullshitting, which is not a massive surprise.
Yeah.
Thank you, not over each other. Thank you, not over each other.
No, but this is we've committed to the triple lock plus. Under us, the state pension will never pay tax. Under you, there's a retirement tax coming for British
pensioners.
That's
your taxes.
I think it's appalling.
Yeah, you say there's a fucking retirement tax coming. Yes, because you implemented it, Rishi. That's you. What the fuck are you talking about?
Which again, if Keir was a politician, he would actually answer that in that way, but apparently he won't.
Oh my god, please, Keith. I mean, I don't really care at this point, but like, come on, like, he's a barrister. He persuades people for a living. What the fuck is he doing?
Explain to people, why do you think pensioners should pay tax on the state pension?
Okay.
The big problem with Liz Truss is that she made
okay.
Oh my god, this is going so badly. How is Starmer doing badly?
I'm going to scream. Instead of making the point that you just made, which is pertinent and would shut him down, the problem with Liz Truss, what the fuck is this guy? Who the fuck cares about Liz Truss at this point? Just, God, you're a dickhead.
I mean, they mentioned Liz Truss in the same way that the Tories mentioned COVID in Ukraine.
Literally. Yeah, Liz Truss is their thing. It's, oh my God. Keir, I'm going to go mental. I'm going to go mental. You're going to actually give me a fucking aneurysm.
Oh my God, yeah.
Funded tax cut.
All right.
The Prime Minister is doing the same thing.
Okay.
We're going to go round the circle again.
Everyone, because you asked. You asked about it. It's very clear. Pensioners under Keir Starmer will pay tax on the state pension for the first time in our country's history.
All right, I'm going to just
It is a retirement tax. And Keir Starmer can talk about the past all he wants, but in the future, pensioners have got to...
He's not said it. He's not done anything. He's not... Oh, my God.
Keir Starmer's so shit. He's so shit.
I genuinely don't believe it. I just do not believe that Rishi, because they've just finished this section, moderators coming elsewhere saying, that's fine. And Rishi Sunak is trying to impugn Keir Starmer for a tax that he's imposing. Incredible, incredible. Like, you know what? Fair play to Sunak. Fair play to Sunak to have the fucking gall to blame somebody else for his own taxes on the assumption that the opponent would just fucking fail to call out the fact that's what you're doing. And yeah, that just is how that's worked. All of those Winchester Boys School Debating Society meetups, all were worth it in the end, Rishi.
Well, this is two blindfolded people boxing, and they're just swinging punches, and that one landed. And Keir has been unable to respond in any effective way whatsoever.
Yeah, exactly. And literally, somebody
Oh,
put
let me be clear. Also on the bingo card, yes. There you go.
Yeah, absolutely. The thing is that actually somebody in chat saying that Keir Starmer's kind of failed upwards. That's really true. Again, he's not a politician. He's a fucking empty suit thrust into there by Labour together. I don't think they expected it would get to this point. I don't think they expected Keir Starmer would last this long until fucking Liz Truss happened.
Well, exactly. I don't think they were planning on, because usually if you've gotten if you've got a 90-seat majority, the idea that you're going to overturn that and get a majority of your own in one parliamentary cycle is basically sort of unheard of. He was a place filler in order to purge the party of the left, turn things around a little bit, maybe get to a Tory majority of 20, or maybe even a hung parliament at best. And then maybe they could either keep with him if they wanted to, or maybe some young, fresh face comes along and becomes the Tony Blair 2.0. But actually, because the Tories have disintegrated, Wes Streety or whoever, right? The Tories have disintegrated like a plane breaking up in the sky. He's now thrust into this position that he's clearly unqualified for.
I mean, yeah, absolutely, 100%. I mean, again, like, it's Keir Starmer. I fucking hate the guy. You know, it'd be incredible if he manages to fuck this up. But yeah, it's honestly crazy. Honestly, what the hell is going on here?
Well, this is again, it's just another symbol of how shrunken our society, our political economy is, because these two dickheads are clearly incapable of being in the position that they're trying to get to, or in the case of Rishi Sunak, already is in. These are not people who are qualified for that position, and yet one of them will be in a few weeks in that position, and it's going to be fucking terrible. I can't wait. It's going to be great content.
A tax rise coming under your government.
All right, gentlemen,
why
please.
Why do you want to do that to pensioners? Why do you want to put up their taxes?
We're just going to take a pause there. I just want to put this on the table.
Why do you want to put up their taxes? I'm still reading. I'm still reading from this.
It's amazing, isn't it? He's so ineffective, Starmer. He's such a basic bitch. Oh my God.
I mean, actually, that's true. As you scouts were in chat, this moderator has been garbage. It's been so bad. So bad.
Yeah.
Institute for Fiscal Studies independently has assessed that you are joining in a conspiracy of silence in not acknowledging the scale of the choices and trade-offs that will face us after the election. Unprotected budgets, that's budgets for areas outside of schools, the NHS and defence. They could face up to 4% of cuts a year. One word, can you rule those cuts out? Are you being level with us? One word with us, yes or no?
We're going to continue investing record sums in public service.
That's not one word. No. That's not one word, Rishi.
Oh my God. It's so funny watching them just like, how many times am I allowed to click this not answering the question button just over and over and over again?
Yeah, exactly. Look, it's just going to be like an omni circle. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we're not going to go back to austerity. I ran a public service for 5 years, the Crown Prosecution Service.
Hey! Home slice. What do you mean we're not going to go back to austerity? When did austerity end exactly?
I mean, yeah, also very true, but incredible. I mean, we didn't really have austerity, I guess, for like that 2-year period when Boris Johnson was Prime Minister, and we had like a normal social.
There was COVID shit. Okay, that's fair.
Yeah,
but like,
and then as soon as Jeremy,
it was straight back to fucking austerity again.
Yeah, literally, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, and you are going to You are going to continue to do austerity, Keith, so stop lying. Also, she specifically said one word and neither of them could answer in one word.
True.
Very
you
much
don't have
indeed.
enough money. I believe in our public services.
Thank you, Keir Starmer. Thank you, Rishi Sunak. For the time being, we will take a breath.
Oh, God, this is tragic.
After the break, we'll be discussing immigration, climate, and we'll take a closer look.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, can we scroll through? I don't care for adverts, honestly. There we go. Yeah. Also, talking of immigration, did you see Nigel Farage got milkshaked?
I fucking did. It was glorious, and all of the Meltoids come. Oh, what if it was a milkshake made of acid with a brick inside it and razor blades? And I'm just like, it wasn't though, was it? It wasn't any of those things. It was a fucking milkshake.
It was just some banana flavoured milk, mate. Calm down.
And I posted about it on Twitter because Jonathan Pye, the biggest Meltoid in politics, was saying, "Oh, this is literally assault," and I was just like, "It's not. It's a fucking milkshake, mate." Like, and then I tweeted out with the video of Ed Miliband getting hit by an egg, just laughing it off, taking off his jacket, and saying, "Oh, obviously wasn't one of my fans." And I'm just like, "Yeah, people on the left, it happens to them, and they fucking deal with it."
Well, even Keir Starmer, when he got glitter bombed, just took his suit off and carried on. I was actually like, it was funny that it happened, but also I was sort of impressed with his response. Just like, okay, I'll just take my jacket off and carry on with my speech. Fine.
Yeah,
cool.
Literally.
Awesome.
Cool as a cucumber.
No problem. That's how a human deals with that situation, you know? But anyway, I mean, yeah. Also, 255 is fishing for a sub in chat if anyone wants to be generous.
Also, we've been going for over an hour. If you want to support the stream by throwing gifts, subs, bits, memberships, gifted memberships or super chats, feel free to do so if you would like to.
Welcome back to Sunak versus Starmer, the ITV debate. The first half was dominated by the cost of living and public services. Just a little information for both of our candidates here. Please, an appeal from me not to speak over one another. We want to make sure that everybody can hear what you're saying. That was a gentle reminder.
You're the moderator. It's your job to moderate and stop them talking over. You've literally supposed to be doing it up until now. You can't just go, well, please stop doing it. Why were you interrupting before?
A communist.
Yeah, exactly. It literally is your job to do that. You can ask nicely, but they're not going to, or at least Keir Starmer isn't going to interrupt because he hasn't got the bollocks for it. But Rishi Sunak is a serial interrupter. He is a belligerent little child who can't take any kind of pushback whatsoever. You people also, you can't expect them to do that. Have you seen how things go down in Parliament? These are not like respectful debate society discussions. It's ridiculous. And you've shown obvious preference as well at this point. Like, it's pretty obvious who you're favouring. Not even for necessarily political reasons. It could just be because he's being a belligerent prick or whatever, you know? But anyway, thank you, Lord Fruitus, for gifting a sub, and thank you, Crastronomy, with Bitty Bits. Much love to you.
Indeed, thank you, Crastronomy, for the bits, and also Phil McCracken with the 10 gifted. Thank you.
Nice.
It may not be so gentle next time. We now turn to another important issue in this election, and that is immigration. And our next questioner is Stephen from Warrington. Stephen.
Thank you. Politicians have broken so many promises on immigration.
I'm sorry.
Nor should I trust either of you?
This guy is a Phoenix Nights character. Just look at him. This guy is a fucking This is Peter Kay's alter ego now, isn't it? You're having a fucking laugh.
It's so true, though. It literally is a Phoenix Nights character. Oh my fucking god. You're so right. I was thinking, what is this? Well, what are we going to be able to compare him to? Phoenix Nights, absolutely perfect. Mwah. 10 out of 10. No notes.
To do anything about such large numbers of people risking their lives to cross the channel to gain access to the UK illegally.
Thank you very much indeed,
Garlic bread.
Stephen. Rishi Sunak.
Stephen, immigration is too high, and we will need to take bold action to bring it down, whether that's legal migration, where we're going to introduce a new legal cap to guarantee that it will come down every year, or the boats, which you mentioned, where we got the numbers down last year by a third, and now we have a deterrent ready to go. migrants have been detained. The flights will go in July, but only if
won't.
I'm your Prime Minister.
No, they won't.
If Keir Starmer's elected, all those people will be released, the flights will be cancelled.
And they will fuck your wife. They will come round to your house and fuck your wife in front of you.
And we'll have to build, because otherwise we'll have to build loads of houses to house them. And think about the green fields, because that's what like half of the Tories care about. Well, thank you, £5 from the super chatter over on YouTube asking where I got the figure for the 25% ownership. So Rachel Reeves specifically said in their and it's in their policy documentation for GB Energy, that they want to have £1 of public investment for every £3 of private investments. That's 25% share ownership of the government.
25%, yeah. Which is better than nothing, but it's still 75% of cockery.
One place that hasn't been corrupted by capitalism.
And also, as Ben points out in chat as well, in chat, sorry, that like if you have a problem with migration, you were the one in charge of it. Like you spent the last fucking 2 years banging on about how you're going to do migration controls, and like you've done the opposite.
Well, exactly, and there's no way that he can distance himself from 14 years, during which time he was Chancellor and an MP and all the rest of it. Like you've got to own this shit. You can't be the "we're going to change shit" party after 15 years in 14 years in power. It's not really a feasible argument.
Exactly. Also, thank you for the raid, SK the Crusader. Everyone on my end, go follow and subscribe on YouTube and Twitch at SK the Crusader.
Fuck yeah, baby.
Have no deterrent to stop the unfairness of people crossing in boats. So that's the choice for you at this election. Stick to our plan, and illegal migrants will be on those planes. With Labour, they will be out on our streets.
Thank you very much, Rishi Sunak. Keir Starmer.
Well, Stephen, the levels of migration are at record highs, 685,000. It's never been that high, save in the last year or two. The Prime Minister says it's too high. Well, who's in charge? Who's in charge? He's the most liberal Prime Minister we've ever had on immigration. We've never had numbers like this before. And he says that you can believe him on the boats. Nobody should be making that crossing.
Well, no, you convinced me,
18
Keith.
months ago.
Keith, you've convinced me. I need to vote Tory for harm reduction. Yeah, thanks.
Also, to be fair, like the reason why we have such high numbers of migrants is actually Boris Johnson. He was the one who relaxed the student visa rules, wanted to become global Britain. Anybody can come and can build their life here. Yeah, like, I agree with Boris. Like, that's a better plan than we've got from either of these fuckers. And that helps fund our universities, which need the money from those foreign students to be able to subsidise local students.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, look, neither of the parties, for their own particular reasons, wants to have an honest discussion about immigration. The Tories want to fearmonger whilst bringing in record numbers, and the Labour Party want to bring in reasonable numbers, maybe, whatever, but also don't want to appear to be bringing in any people. Which then leaves a vacuum into which Nigel Farage steps in with his Hitler particles. Where did you see him and Richard Tice going on about barber shops opening up as a money laundering scheme for foreign drug dealers? Mental shit. Make up any old mental shit you like.
I mean, that is technically, I think that's true, that there is some money laundering operations going out like Turkish barbershops.
Right, okay. But I'm not suggesting there aren't any, but they were suggesting that on every high street in the country, there's like a chain of barbershops opening up to do fucking to the money launder for fucking terrorism and drugs and blah blah blah. Like when the two main parties vacate an area, it allows extremists to go in there and just spout any old shit, which can't be then counteracted by anyone particularly, because the two main parties aren't even fucking talking about the same topic.
Yeah.
No, the Prime Minister made a promise. He said, just like the NHS promise, we're personally accountable for it, that he would stop the boats. This year alone, 10,000 people have crossed on boats. That's a record number. So again, he's made a promise and he's completely failed to keep it.
Thank you. Rishi Sunak, respond directly to Keir Starmer.
Yeah. Over the last 12 months, the number of crossings have down a third because the plans we put in place are starting to make a difference. But the choice of this election is about the future. I believe you need to have a deterrent. The only way to stop this problem is to say to people who come here illegally, they cannot stay and they will be removed. If I'm your Prime Minister, the planes will go to Rwanda.
You
Except they're
won't
not
be,
a-
so it's not a problem.
Yeah, that's also true. And also the planes probably won't go to Rwanda. And also on top of that, they're not illegal migrants. They have arrived by irregular means and have claimed asylum in the legal manner. Like, it's rhetoric to call them illegal migrants. And I know this because on the government website, it specifically refers to them as irregular crossings, irregular migrants. Like, you can't, the fact that they can't call them illegal migrants on their website because they actually have to call them their real name. It's political campaigning to describe them as being illegal. Like, you have to, the only illegal migrants, really and truly, are people who've outstayed their visas or people who've had their asylum claim failed and then haven't left.
Exactly, who entered legally and then committed a crime by staying. Yeah.
Yeah, but if you arrive by irregular means and you claim asylum, that is the legal process for which one claims asylum.
Yeah.
We will have a deterrent. So the simple question for Keir Starmer is, what will you do with people who come here illegally?
Fingers ready of the smash criminal gangs button, guys.
Yes.
What will you do with them? Well, very simply, what will you do with them? That's what I'm going to do. We'll have a deterrent. What are you going to do?
We need to smash the gangs that are running this vile trade, making a huge amount of money, putting some of the most vulnerable people in boats across the channel. They're making a fortune.
Can I ask?
Before I was a politician, Stephen, I was the director.
Did you? Oh, he's about to get ready for the DPP. Did you pre-watch this?
No, I didn't.
Did you? I'm sending a pre-watch here because he said the exact same thing you said. Literally the first sentence.
It's because usually he's really unpredictable, isn't that right? It's usually
exactly.
He's understand what someone's going to say.
He's a mercurial character. You never know what he's going to say from one minute to the next. No, he's a robot boy, isn't he?
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm going to
Republic.
Starmer mentions DPP because he's literally about to say it.
Prosecutions. And I worked with the police and prosecutors in other countries to bring down terrorist gangs who are running across borders. I do not believe it's impossible to bring down these gangs. What I won't do is engage in an expensive gimmick, the Rwanda scheme. If he believed it was going to work, he wouldn't have called an election before it can be tested. He wouldn't have done it.
So, Keir Starmer said...
And he also said that he didn't believe the Rwanda policy would work when he wasn't in the position that he's in. Like, back when it was being floated under Boris Johnson, he said it wouldn't work. And then he also pointed out Home Secretary James Cleverly, who called the scheme, quote-unquote, batshit. So it's clear he doesn't believe in it.
Yeah, so, like, neither the Prime Minister or the Home Secretary actually believe in this plan, which is fair enough, because no one else does either. But they're the ones out there trying to defend it now. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Smash the gangs. We put new laws in Parliament that have now led to almost 1,000...
Hey, someone in YouTube chat saying that the left are tolerant, but they actually advocate violence against anyone with opposing views. That's not true. That's not true. Why would I be violent against you when I can just have sex with your dad? Wouldn't that be more humiliating for you?
People smugglers being arrested, serving hundreds of years in jail. Because we do need to smash the gangs. Keir Starmer voted against those laws. So, as ever, you say one thing here, but your track record says something completely different.
Hang on, I thought we weren't
talking.
talking about the past. I thought we were going to ignore everything that's ever happened in the past. It's about the future, Rishi. Come on now, mate.
literally, him just kind of... well, then he's not going to get held to account for it. Like, what is Starmer going to say? Like, you told me not to talk about the past, right?
Yeah, no, because Starmer's shite.
So why are the numbers this year 10,000 record numbers? Why is that?
Because this is a challenge. This is a growing challenge, but I've got a plan to deal with it because I'm going to put people on planes. What are you going to do with them? I can tell everyone what I'm going to do. You might not like it, but I've got a plan because we've got to have a deterrent. What are you going to do? Just tell everybody. What are you going to do with illegal migrants who arrive?
Please, can we please, gentlemen, we will lower our voices.
This is shambolic.
It is really shambolic. And again, the big problem...
Let's try and break down for a second what just happened there. I've got a plan. You might not like it, but I've got a plan. Silence from Starmer. Brilliant. And then she chimes in with, the most exasperated Karen nonsense of like, we're just going to calm our voices down if you don't mind, please. Like, this is a fucking shit show. This is pointless.
It is a shit show. Yeah, it really is.
Oh, God, this is tiring. It's tiring.
Starmer, please respond directly to Rishi Sunak.
There's a pattern of behaviour here. He said he would get waiting lists down. They've gone up. He said he would stop the boats. We've got record numbers coming. The promises he makes are not worth the paper they're written on. His plan...
Right. Keith, Keith. Do I need to mention 10 pledges? Do I need to mention any of these things? Again, he's not wrong. Right? He is not wrong that Rishi Sunak made 5 promises and broke literally all of them apart from waiting for inflation to fall by doing nothing. He failed 4 out of 5 of them, right? But you have no ground to stand on, Keir, because you have broken every promise you've ever made in your life.
True. Yeah, exactly. I honestly, look, Rishi Sunak was just making the ethical case for stopping the boats. Okay? He was, and he was going to definitely stick to that plan. 100%. Yeah, this entire debate is pointless. And again, it sort of reminds me a little bit of the way in which the general election went down in Australia, where they have, I mean, it's much worse, of course, there, but their version of this plan, where they have offshore concentration camps for quote unquote boat people, and it wasn't even talked about at the general election. It was just ignored. Both parties just accepted that was going to continue to happen. That was just fun. It wasn't even a part of the national debate. And even though we are obviously talking about this, no one's mentioning the absolutely inhumane and disgusting racism involved in all of this. The fact that they fucking painted over a mural, a fucking thing, so that kids would feel less welcome at a refugee centre. Like, it's inherently a racist, dehumanising plan. That's the entire bit. Yeah. But both parties are just like, yeah, no, we're going to do the racist, dehumanising bit, but in what specific configuration?
The thing is, because the thing is, right, is you can make all these cases for why you think that irregular migration is bad or whatever from like an economic perspective, but the point at which you're going, oh, what, white Ukrainian refugees? Come in. What, brown Iranian refugees or Sudanese refugees? Off you fuck to Rwanda, no thank you. And then it's just obvious what you're doing.
Yeah, it's pretty naked, yeah.
Is failing. We do have to deal with this problem, Stephen. We absolutely have to deal with it. We have to smash the gangs that are doing. I will never accept that the only criminal gangs that can't be taken down are these vile gangs. I've taken down terrorist gangs in my past. I've seen how it's done. I know it can be done. We'll have a border security command if I'm Prime Minister, and we will get that done and stop this vile trade and those boats coming over with very vulnerable people.
Thank you very much. I'm just going to call a pause there. Thank you very much. A very specific question to you, if I may, Rishi Sunak, and that is on the European Convention on Human Rights. If your Rwanda plan is blocked by the courts, and will this appear in your manifesto, that you would remove the UK from the European Convention on Human Rights? Is that part of your plan? Will that be in your manifesto?
I'm crystal clear. I believe all our plans are compliant with our international obligations, but if I am forced to choose between securing our borders and our country's security or a foreign court, I'm going to choose our country's security every single time.
So that's a yes. Excuse me, can I be clear? That is a yes.
I've been crystal clear.
Again, they're literally going like, please take away my human rights so I can punish the outgroup I've been told I should hate. Fucking hell.
Also,
it's so easy to get people to vote. It's so easy to get people to vote away things that they think protect them because they want to remove the protection from somebody else.
Indeed. But he hasn't answered technically yet. I hope she presses on this. Are you specifically saying you will remove us from this piece of legislation?
Yeah.
I will choose our country's security ahead of membership of a foreign court every single time.
That's not an answer.
Very clear answer, Keir Starmer.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't a clear answer. That's what you've just said there is bollocks. You are bad at this. He didn't answer the fucking question. He gave you a generic response about supporting Britain over the dirty foreigner. He didn't say, I will remove us from this piece of legislation. I will remove us from the European Court of Human Rights. Fuck's sake. The Convention on Human Rights, right? He didn't say that. That's what you asked him. He did not say that.
Yeah.
To that directly to Rishi Sunak, please.
No, if I'm Prime Minister, we will not pull out of international agreements and international law, which is respected the world over. Because I want the UK to be a respected player on the global stage, not a pariah who doesn't agree with international law. And those laws were put in place after the Second World War.
For example, by agreeing with international law, he would never, ever, for example, say that another foreign state that is occupying another area could cut off food, water, electricity and medicine from the area that they occupy. He'd never say something like that because he believes in international law.
No, because boats have a right to defend herself.
True.
Fact.
after the horrors of the Second World War, when all governments, all countries came together and said, never again. And to rip, and it was a conservative government, church.
Unless it's the Palestinians. Unless
Exactly.
it's the Palestinians, it can happen once more as a treat.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Fingerprints are on this instrument. So important was it for the Conservative Party. This Conservative Party is 1,000,000 miles away from the Conservative Party of old.
I have a direct question to put to you.
Yeah, you're the Conservative Party of old. Yeah, we know.
I mean, although it's a good line to say the ECHR was fundamentally built by Churchill and the government post-Second World War, because Churchill consistently gets ranked as the best prime minister of all time by Conservative voters. To try and explicitly draw lines between and delineations between the Conservative Party of Churchill and the current Conservative Party, that's good rhetoric. It's just delivered in a ham-fisted and completely uncharismatic way by Sir Hamface.
Sir Hamfacer, let's go.
Keir Starmer, you sound quite similar. Just to confirm for both of you, on the issue of safe routes, are safe routes for people crossing the Channel not the...
A real question!
Oh my God!
Alert! A journalism has occurred, chat. A journalism has occurred.
Woo,
woo! Sound the alarm.
Journalism bomb released. Let's go.
like a J-dam.
Answer, Keir Starmer.
Well, I don't think anybody should be crossing the Channel. In relation to some countries, I do agree with safe routes. So, for example, just give me the example, Afghanistan, where everybody will observe the terrible scenes when the Taliban took over, and people risk their lives to interpret for our forces, etc. I thought they should be allowed to come here to safety, and I supported the safe routes for them to do so. There are circumstances where I do believe that's the right thing to do. Ukraine is an...
What? That's a real answer as well. What the hell is going on?
Well, a journalism and an honesty. One after the other. I think this might be... Is that one of the harbingers of the apocalypse? I'm not sure.
Wow, that is an actual real answer that was given. To be fair, that we already have technically had a legal route. It's a pretty complex one from Afghanistan. As Carol and Lucas pointed out, very few people actually managed to claim through that route specifically. But we do need... The thing is that, on top of Afghanistan, we also have Iran, and we have Iraq, and we have Syria, and we have Sudan, we have Eritrea, we have all these other countries that also need some kind of legal route to come here by as well.
Yeah, but if they just allow one legal route, or one or two legal routes through which a few people might fall through the net and actually arrive here legally, then they can say, look, we've got open legal routes. Next question. Yeah. It's very cynical.
Thank you. We just need to keep this brief. Yes or no to safe routes for those.
Of course we should have safe routes, but when we've controlled our borders, we will be able to have a conversation about the right number to accept. We've been a very generous, compassionate country.
Why
we talk
don't
about European
you have
conventions.
Of the
20
borders?
European countries almost now have agreed with my approach. Believe that you need to be able to return people to a safe country, otherwise you can't solve this problem. We still haven't heard from Keir Starmer, and it's meant to be a debate about the future. I will put people on planes to create that deterrent. Multiple other European countries agree with that.
Sorry. If Keir Starmer had any political sense to him whatsoever, why wouldn't he just interrupt him there and say, why don't we have control of the borders now? Why is it an issue that once we get them back, you have been in power for 14 years. If we don't have control of the borders, that's on you.
Also, on top of that, he's really boxed in his make Brexit work argument that they decided to take it. Again, people will know me, I'm ambivalent on the European Union, but one thing that is true is that a reason why the boat crossing started is because we removed ourselves from the Dublin Protocol that allowed us to be able to remove people who arrived irregularly to their country of origin they came to within Europe underneath the Dublin Agreement. Yeah. And that is a reason why we would want to return to that agreement to be able to have more control over the borders. The reason why we don't have this control is because we've left the European Union and we've left that agreement. But neither of them can say it because neither of them want to open the Brexit box. With good reason, probably, but, it's really kind of stunting the debate here.
True. Although, I mean, the elephant in the room, of course, with the Nigel Farage now standing and all of that, is that he puts Brexit back on the table as a discussion point, which, I mean, the Lib Dems are probably literally shooting ropes over as we speak, I imagine.
I mean, the SNP have been, they've been banging on Brexit as well, haven't they?
True, but it's very popular because they only have to do it in Scotland.
True.
What will you do with illegal migrants who come here? What will you do with them?
Well,
would you consider processing?
Oh, Keith,
asylum,
you can't stutter. You can, when he says that, you can't go. Well, no. Already, you've lost that point. Then already, people at home are going, "Oh, this cunt doesn't have a plan." Then.
And the problem is again, because he's accepted all the rhetoric, we can't ever push back on conservative framing or narrative. Because Rishi Sunak said, what will you do with illegal immigrants? He can't just say, they're not illegal, they're irregular, you're using the wrong terminology, because they've been fighting for the last 18 months on accepting that framing already. So we can't even push back, and Rishi Sunak has basically won this discussion already. Like, there's nothing that Keir Starmer can say in response that is going to be acceptable, because everyone now agrees with this bullshit framing about them being illegal rather than irregular.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, I mean, because again, they both have just accepted that we need to be racist. Just how racist do we need to be? Which is fucking tragic.
Yeah, again, because Ben points out, he could just say we will process their claims as is our obligations under the Refugee Convention, but he can't say that because he's already accepted the fucking framing. I mean, I think it's about to get asked here about a processing centre in France, which I think is is Labour policy and is fine, I guess. So we'll see.
What will you do with them?
Well, would you consider processing asylum claims in a third country, Keir Starmer?
Oh, third country.
Yes, if that was possible to do it in compliance with international law, of course. But just let me deal with this because.
So you do now agree?
Okay. So you
honestly,
right now you've just changed.
I thought we were not going to talk over each other.
So you do now agree with third country deals?
Thank you very much.
Could I just get a word in edgeways?
Mr. Sunak.
Oh my God, Keir, you absolute cock freak! Can I get a word in edgeways? And then she's silent for a couple of seconds, and he doesn't even talk. He needs permission. You're not asking to go for a piss at school. Talk, you bellend. Oh my God, he's so shit at this.
He's really bad. He's really bad. To be fair, like somebody posted that there was a poll afterwards done and said that was 51 to 49% people thought that Sunak won over Starmer, which is higher, which is better for Starmer than I fucking expected.
Exactly, yeah, but it shouldn't be. The Tories are in such shambles that you should be able to win this easily, and yet Keir Starmer is fumbling it. He's an embarrassment. He really is. He's an embarrasser.
Hey.
People arriving by small boats are not having their claims processed. By the end of the year, that means there'll be 100,000 people in hotels at taxpayers' expense who are not having their claims processed.
Well, teacher gave him permission to speak.
They cannot be returned. And that's why returns have gone down by 40% on his watch. Now, he'll say again, well, don't look at the last 14 years. I know that was terrible. Don't look at that. I'm just looking forward. But I'm sorry, we're all living with the consequence of your awful decision.
Thank you. So, gentlemen, thank you very much indeed for that.
Yeah, that wasn't a very good response, really, was it? I mean, it was fine, but...
No, to be fair, he's already lost the point. So there's nothing he could have said that was really dragging it back from that position, but it's just, even at best, it's average.
Because the big problem here, of course, is he can't mention the A word. He can't mention it's a problem of austerity. The reason why the claims haven't been processed, the reason why people are being stuck in hotels because they're waiting for their claims to get processed, is because the government took huge amounts of fucking money out of the the asylum processing system. It was fine under Blair. Like, even under Blair, they were processing double the number of claims we have now. But that was before the Tories decided to cut every single government department's budget.
Well, he didn't even mention the huge backlog or anything, did he? Caused by, caused by austerity. But because he wants to do austerity, he can't really mention it. Again, because you've accepted Tory framing because you're a Tory.
We are trying to get as many topics in. Thank you. No, thank you. I'm just going to draw a line under that. We are just trying to cover as much ground as possible. I'm sure you both understand that. Thank you. We're going to turn now to our fourth question from Omar from Manchester. Omar.
Thank you. I'm worried about the UK's lack of leadership on the world stage. I want our PM to be strong enough to take a stand even when it's hard. So what should happen next to stop these awful scenes we're seeing in Gaza?
Thank you very much indeed.
Israel has a right to defend
herself. And that question there...
I can guarantee everybody watching right now, the answers to these questions from both of these people are going to be so fucking cancerous. My God.
Well, I think they're... to be fair, I think Keir was shocked by nearly losing the West Midlands thing to the quote-unquote Muslim vote, etc. I think he's going to have to sit a bit more on the fence, but I'm still expecting a fair level of melanoma inducement, to be fair, yeah, who wants to bet? First sentence, October 7th gets mentioned.
Oh, we've got
Guaranteed.
Hamas terrorists on the bingo card. To be fair, the bingo card really hasn't been particularly filled up on my end. Although to be fair, might have a jumbly crumbly concrete moment, considering that we're going to be talking about the condemning hummus.
Yeah, I've got 8 so far, which is that's okay.
Has a wide range to it, but very specifically, it is about the Hamas terrorist atrocities of October the 7th. And
there you go. Didn't even, honestly, I thought you'd wait till one of the candidates spoke, but the fucking host mentioned October 7th. Oh.
Literally, is the host going to talk about Israel's right to defend themselves? Or herself? Fucking hell.
She's going to say, well, actually, they've been there for 2,000 years. They get to kill all the Palestinians.
I swear down, the editorializing throughout this whole thing has been an absolute fucking disgrace. Ever since saying the money is tight and they need to be honest with us about the austerity they're going to have to do with us. Like this assumption that we can't just, fiscally expand into new investments and things like that to grow the economy. And on top of this, just taking it as read. Well, actually, this question isn't really about what Israel's doing. It's about Hamas's atrocities, isn't it? Fucking hell. Like, literally going to rewrite the question.
Yeah, I know this guy was asking about, the world, the place and what Israel's doing and the war that's been going on and all the rest of it. But I'm going to reframe this as, do you condemn Hamas? Thanks, Piers.
That's crazy.
Folded after the scenes of which we see on our television news every evening. So I'd like you both, please, to address that particular situation. A lot of people have been very uncomfortable with the stance that both of you have taken on this. How would you respond? First to Keir Starmer.
Well, Omar, the situation in Gaza is intolerable. It's catastrophic. Tens of thousands of people have been killed, a disproportionate number of women and children. So, Omar, what we need now is a ceasefire, a cessation of the hostilities straight away. And for these purposes, which is really important because it's a very grave situation, firstly, we have to get the hostages out. They've been held for a very, very long time, and I dread to think that the state they're in. Secondly, we desperately need humanitarian aid.
I mean, luckily, there is already a ceasefire proposal, which includes an end to the conflict and also includes the return of all of the hostages. And Hamas have agreed to it.
Well, that's good, but it's interesting, isn't it, that Biden came out and said that this was an Israeli plan, and then the Israelis were like, no, it fucking isn't. What? This isn't our plan. What are you talking about?
This is the Biden plan. This is literally a Joe fucking genocide Joe coming down. Even genocide Joe is completely done with this shit. And
well, because he wants this out of the way by November. He needs this not to be an issue.
Yeah, he's proposed a ceasefire deal, which Hamas have agreed to, but Netanyahu has been essentially he can't agree to it because Smotrich and Ben-Gvir have said they'll collapse the coalition if he agrees to the ceasefire.
Yeah, and also
which is the end of
yeah. He needs. It's the only thing stopping him from going to jail.
Literally, yeah.
Into Gaza, but desperately, it's catastrophic. Thirdly, and this is where the leadership piece comes in, we have to find a path to a lasting resolution. That has to be a two-state solution, and we need to show leadership on that. And I know that if we're elected into office, if we're humble enough to serve, that will be my solemn duty.
Humble enough to serve. Shut the fuck up.
Yes, Omar.
I mean, that was a terrible answer. It's saying there needs to be a ceasefire. We need to get the hostages out. There needs to be a two-state solution. Like, there have been worse answers, but of course that doesn't actually answer the question. What does leadership mean? Are you going to pressure Israel into accepting a Palestinian state? Are you going to recognise a Palestinian state without Benjamin Netanyahu giving credence to it, which he'll never fucking do? That's not a real answer. It's fine as far as the debate goes. It covers all of the bases, but...
Well, I told you, didn't I? He had to hedge his bets a little bit. He knew he came out of the gates a little bit too spicy with his "she has a right to defend herself" by cutting off water and electricity, and people went, "Whoa, what the fuck, mate? Like, we know you don't want to sound anti-Semitic or anything, but that's too fucking much. So now he's had to sort of roll it back a bit and be like, actually, maybe a ceasefire, that would be good, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
The libs need this to just go away now. All of the libs in all of the countries are like, look, we can't come out. We don't want to appear to be anti-Semitic, but also we don't want to appear to be like defending the killing of kids, which we are actually actively doing by selling them the weapons and giving them the money to do this and the diplomatic cover and all the rest of it. But we need that to not be an issue. So if they could just stop doing that so openly, that would be dope.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if they'll be asked by the moderator, would they stop weapon sales, but...
It's an awful situation,
given the fucking right-wing
and I'm
nature of
pleased
it,
actually
right?
that Keir Starmer supported, alongside me, Israel's right to defend itself in the face of the atrocious attack that they suffered. But right now, you're seeing that US have put a deal on the table, which we strongly support, together with our allies, to bring an immediate end to the hostilities, release hostages, get more aid in, and then build towards a lasting settlement with a two-state solution. We've led in providing more aid to Gaza, something I'm proud that we've done. Our troops have helped build the port that's being established. But more generally, the world is a more uncertain place. What Hamas doing is indicative of the dangers we face, which is why I've made the bold decision also to lead, to increase investment in our country's defence. Because I think that's necessary.
True.
He mentioned, like, he could go, well, I'd say we're against Hamas, whereas he was in the cabinet with a guy who said Hamas were his friends.
Also, I'm going to give myself world leading for this one. I'm going to give myself world leading. Because they said show leadership on the world stage. I think world leading can get done by that on the bingo card. Yeah. But at the end of the day, right? They keep saying, "Well, Hamas shows you the danger that we live in." I mean, I was going to be fair. I was going to say, "Oh, we occupying another country?" I'm like, yeah, we are. We know exactly what happens. We saw what happens during the Troubles. I'm just like, okay, but if we're going to talk about the Troubles and we're talking about an uncertain world, you were the ones who almost tore up the Good Friday Agreement with your stupid Brexit deal. So there's one people making us unsafe.
True.
To keep you safe, everyone safe. It's something that the Labour Party have not matched.
Thank you very much for those serious, considered responses to the first part of Omar's question. You raised a question there very specifically at the end of that statement, Rishi Sunak, raising the question about our security or otherwise under the potential leadership of Keir Starmer. Do you really think the man standing next to you is a threat to our national security?
No, I don't think the Labour Party can be trusted to keep this country as safe as the Conservatives. Shocking. The world is a more dangerous and uncertain place than at any point since the end of the Cold War. I've made the decision to invest more in our defence, taking it up to 2.5% of GDP. Labour Party have not matched that. And worse than that, the person who would be Deputy Prime Minister under Keir Starmer does not believe in our nuclear deterrent, the ultimate guarantor of our security. So no,
he literally did
you
today.
can trust the Conservatives.
Oh no, yesterday wasn't it? He was literally like, "No, actually, we're going to spend all of the money from the magic money tree on magic bombs that we aren't going to use." Brilliant.
I mean, to be fair though, Angela Rayner got caught with her pants down because she tweeted out saying, "I've always supported our nuclear deterrent," and people found a tweet of hers from 2016 going, "I'm glad some people backed me up on voting against our nuclear deterrent. Why are we spending money on this when we could be spending money on the disabled?" Again, I wish that the Angela Rayner of 2016 was still around, but unfortunately we have the Angela Rayner of 2024.
I wish the Labour Party of 2016 was still around.
But they're a threat to our national security because John Blood Cromlin said, let's follow due process when it comes to what happened in Salisbury.
Well, I thought he was anti-Jew. What? Due process. Never mind. Silly joke.
All right, Joe. All right, Joe Bird. You're going to get yourself removed from the Labour Party for that one. That literally happened to Joe Bird. She's Jewish and she got expelled from the Labour Party for doing that joke.
Yeah, but also, you can kick me out. You can't kick me out of a party I'm not in.
True, same.
Eat my dick. Eat my dick, fucking sexual committee, Stormtrooper cunts. Fuck off.
The Starmer Thailand.
Bro.
Conservatives with our country's security, and my track record and our commitments prove that.
Keir Starmer.
This is shocking. Before I was a politician.
Director of Public Prosecutions?
That's already happened. I've had that one down.
Director of Public Prosecutions.
Hey. Literally, like immediately, I paused at the opportune moment.
on national security. I was dealing with terrorist plots. One of them that we prosecuted was to take down 7 aeroplanes as they were halfway across the Atlantic. They were going to be blown up.
He wants
that
to
is one
stop
of
all
the
of the
cases that I
aeroplanes, not just the ones to
prosecuted,
Rwanda.
knowing how important it is.
But they've got their nuclear deterrent triple lock now, which doesn't make any fucking sense. At least a triple lock for the pensions makes fucking sense. This is just, we are going to do 3 policies and call it a triple lock because that's a meme now. What are they going to do next? What the fuck are they going to do next? At least they can
on public transport. I don't know.
Yeah, we're gonna have a gender ideology triple lock.
Yeah, so, no, you can only have 2 locks because it's binary. How dare you?
True.
Okay.
I will not accept the lie of there being a third lock.
Exactly. They them locks. What the fuck is this?
Locks.
Outrageous. Yes. Thank you, James, for gifting a membership on the YouTubes.
To keep everybody in this country safe and sound. Imagine what would have happened if those planes had gone down. For the Prime Minister, who was at the time making money betting against the country during the financial crisis, that's what he was doing when I was acting on national security.
That's a really good line. That's a really good line. He should. Why has he not done this before?
Yeah.
Why hasn't he
gone coming out with a backbone? Yeah. What happened to him?
Absolutely. Why has he not, for the entirety of this election campaign, been saying all this man's ever done is shift numbers around the benches of Goldman Sachs? Because it's true, and it's the one thing that disconnects him from the entire public. I would be mentioning it every day, every single topic that comes up. I just be like, well, how would you know? You've never lived in the real world, Mr. Goldman Sachs.
Well, because they're trying to get donations from people who work for Goldman Sachs.
True.
Yeah, why would they? You know, they're the Tories. Why would they attack Goldman Sachs or whoever? You know.
To now say that somehow national security is safer in his hands is insulting, and it's childish.
Okay, thank you. A very brief response to that.
Well, I'd have rather had my job than work for extremists like Abu Qatada and Hizb ut-Tahrir.
The Crown Prosecution Service is an extremist organisation.
No, Abu Qatada and Hizb ut-Tahrir were who you work for as well, so people can Google that and have a look.
Literally, the point at which you're having to tell people in the audience to Google the reference you're making, like that you know, you've lost that argument now.
Exactly. It's what was the old line? If you're explaining, you're losing. If you're Googling people so that they can explain to themselves, you've double lost.
Yeah, literally.
You're literally doing the educate yourself, bro. Like, what the fuck is it? This is nothing. No one cares, mate. No one cares. Also, just as a reminder, when he says they worked for X, Y, and Z, he was doing his job. He was a lawyer.
Exactly. It's crazy that they say these things.
On cases where they are people, even if they know they're guilty as fuck and they're evil, disgusting, mass murdering filth, right? You still have to defend them because everyone gets their day in court. That's how a fucking system works. He was a lawyer doing his job.
Literally, again, cab rank rule, that's how that works. But the thing, like, it just shows you, again, how much Westminster politics kind of poisons the discourse, where somebody like Sunak, who thinks this line about Hizb ut-Tahrir is such a fucking zinger, when nobody in this fucking country, other than the nerds like us who watch PMQs every time, know who the fuck Hizb ut-Tahrir even is. And people just listening to him going,
I'm actually very right-wing, and I loved it.
No, Wayward, I don't think mentioning Hizb ut-Tahrir counts as an awkward pop culture reference. I think that's stretching it a bit.
Honest. But there's a clear choice.
Desperate.
I'm investing more in our country's defence, up to 2.5% of GDP.
Okay.
You are not doing that.
Okay.
So how can you tell people you will keep them safe when you're not willing to invest more in our country's security?
Thank you. We've explored both those positions. I'm just going to draw a breath there. Just once again, we've got a quick fire question for you from Stephen from West Sussex, who sent us a question and asked, just very quickly, a very brief answer from both of you. Would convicted criminal Donald Trump be someone you, as Prime Minister, would want a special relationship with? Keir Starmer.
If he's elected president of the US, then we will deal with him. It's up to the people in the US to decide who they want as their president. And the special
even if he's a criminal.
The special relationship transcends whoever fills the post of Prime Minister and President, because it's such an important, strong relationship.
Thank you, Rishi Sunak.
Yes, because having a strong...
Hang on. Just for Americans, can you just allow me this moment of just beautiful Schadenfreude? You do. There are very few things we've got over you, but neither of these men is a convicted felon. It's something we can flex. We can flex on
I
you.
mean, Rishi Sunak did get a fixed penalty notice.
That's not a felony. That's a fucking fine.
It's a civil. I know, right? I was trying to make some kind of comparison. The thing is, what's interesting as well is that I actually don't think this is good. Like, Starmer's clearly going, well, we need to talk about Atlanticism. Clearly, the people like Atlanticism in this country. Well, actually, the opinion of Donald Trump in this country is fucking in the toilet. You know, in the 2016 election, Jill Stein polled higher amongst British people than Donald Trump did. Yeah, like, you could literally just come out and say here, you could even say something like, well, our special relationship is important, but we will hold Trump to account and not let his poisonous rhetoric into UK political discourse or whatever. You could at least hold some kind of line against Trumpism as what he represents, whilst also representing the idea of maintaining the special relationship. But just to not even mention the fact that Donald Trump is a fucking, not just a criminal, but also just like the harbinger of the end of the world. Like, I don't think that's I think you've missed a trick there.
True, but I think he's just, he realizes that he's going to be prime minister soon and that he might have to deal with Trump as president. So he doesn't want to, like, he'd rather, again, this is just an awkward issue that he doesn't want to have to deal with, you know? Like, he knows he's going to have to, look, you can't make yourself the 51st state poodle and then try acting out. Because we're fucked if we do that. So we're going to have to just knuckle under for 4 years if he gets in.
Strong relationship with our closest partner and ally in the United States is critical for keeping everyone in our country safe.
Thank you for those brief answers, Rishi Sunak and Keir Starmer. We're going to go on to another question now, and this one is on the very pressing issue on climate change, and we're going to go to Claire from South London. Hi, Claire.
Thank you. The world is facing a climate catastrophe now. Both of you have broken promises on the environment.
Boom.
What are you doing to put climate at the very centre of your policies?
Thank you very much, Rishi Sunak.
Well, Claire, I have 2 young girls, and this is what they talk to me about more than anything else. And of course, we're going to tackle climate change and get to net zero.
Rishi,
this election is about
how shit a
we
parent are you? The thing they talk to you about is climate change more than anything. Not what they get up to at school, not, you know, they're dealing with, their life. They talk to you about climate change. I don't think they trust you, Rishi, if I'm honest with you. I don't think they want to talk about their journey through life with you. You don't know them. They might as well be strangers. They live in your fucking house.
I don't think that British people should solve a global problem all by themselves, which is why I'm also prioritising our country's energy security and your bills. We've heard a lot about the cost of living challenges today. So I
hope
have made some decisions.
I hope that Keir Starmer brings up the fact that he's literally travelling everywhere by private jet. He's literally going to do thousands and thousands of miles in private jet to stand awkwardly in front of a community centre in Rochdale. And then stand awkwardly at the fucking Titanic docks or whatever, you know.
Keir Starmer did take a private jet to do his, like, GB Energy launch in Scotland, which is quite funny.
Well, I mean, they can take a plane if they're doing a particularly long journey, but it's the fact that it's like a private jet. Like, it's pretty gross. So if they're then going to talk about, like, our green energy credentials. Anyway, I've got, my private jet's taxiing outside, toodles. Like, it's a bit of a piss take, you know.
That will mean that we can save all of you thousands of pounds, still meet our targets, and we can ensure our country's energy security. The contrast is clear at this election, because Keir Starmer will reverse all of the changes I've made. That's going to cost everyone and you thousands of pounds. And make our country less energy secure by banning...
Saying he's going to do the opposite of what I've done is not a good thing for you. That makes people want to vote for him more, because what you've done is shit and people don't like it. So you saying what I've done, he's going to do the opposite, makes people want to vote for the other guy. Like,
yeah.
energy.
Okay.
And that, I don't think, is a right course for our country.
Rishi Sunak, thank you. Keir Starmer.
This £2,000 he keeps saying it's going to cost is absolute garbage. We won't go into the details of it. But Claire, let me address your point, because this is really important. A transition is coming that's very important when it comes, for example, to energy, a transition to renewables. I don't think we should just see that as a challenge. It's a huge opportunity, because if we go to renewable energy, that means cheaper bills. Renewables are cheaper, not just for the short term, but for the long term. It gives us energy security, so it means that Putin can't put his boot on our throat. The result you've all been feeling for the last 2 years.
Bingo.
Stability, security, absolutely. Yeah, you can tick that off on your bingo card, yeah.
But it also gives us the next generation of jobs. Other countries have realised renewables is the future. They're in the race. I want the UK to be in the race. I want us to win the race. When it comes to hydrogen, offshore wind, solar, nuclear, the question I ask is why not?
Thank you very much. That's 45 seconds, Keir Starmer. I'm going to try and stick to the rules if we can. There's a very specific point that Claire makes in her question. Both of you have broken your promises on the environment. Will you acknowledge that, right, Rishi Sunak?
No. We're going to stick to the targets we've put in place, but we're going to do it in a way that saves you all money. I'm not going to impose thousands of pounds of costs on you to arbitrarily rip out your boiler, change your car, convert your home. When we've been talking about the cost of living challenges earlier in this debate, I don't think adding thousands of pounds of cost to you is the right thing. Now, Keir Starmer is going to reverse those changes that I made.
Okay,
so everyone is facing thousands of pounds of higher bills. That is the choice at this election.
Let Keir Starmer respond to that and address the issue of broken promises. Well, please respond directly to what...
It's hard to respond because he's making it up as he goes along. But let me do the best that I can, because the promise I made was clean power by 2030. It's one of my 5 missions, Claire, one of the most important things.
5 missions!
I want an incoming Labour...
There we go. 5 missions. There we go.
Love it. Love it.
Government, the driving sense of purpose to achieve clean power by 2030. That's the promise I've made. That's the promise I'll keep. It'll be in our manifesto. It'll be fully costed and fully funded. But the Prime Minister is slowing down on the climate.
No one costed commitments. There you go.
Hey, here we go. Getting some runs on the board. Let's fucking go.
Change. The problem with that is not only is that inconsistent with our obligations, it will cost more in the long run.
Okay, let
Rishi Sunak respond to that. The sand stuff.
Keir Starmer's going to reverse the changes I made. To install a heat pump now, if you don't need to, costs about £7,000 or £10,000. To convert your home, again, if you're in a terraced house in Darlington, £10,000. Changing your car sooner than...
Well, yeah, like you've ever been to Darlington, Rishi.
America, Canada, Sweden, France, Germany, as he wants you to do. Thousands of pounds.
Okay, let's
There's a
Keir
simple
Starmer
choice
respond
at this election.
Thank you.
If you think Labour are going to win, start saving.
Let Keir Starmer respond to those specific points. Keir Starmer.
Well, the company that the Prime Minister's been using to try and trail out these figures has done some analysis, which is actually published today, Prime Minister. You obviously haven't seen it. What they say, this is the company he's relying on, is that will cost more, the 2030 plan, if you're with the Prime Minister than with a Labour government. And that's been public. I don't know whether you've been too busy or you perhaps haven't seen it, but the very company that he relies on to trot out these false figures is actually saying it's more expensive with the Conservatives than with Labour. Now, I would like him just to answer that.
Anyone can go online when they get home. Go and see how much it will cost to convert your home.
That's not an answer, mate. That's not an answer.
Yeah, Starmer cooked him here. Starmer really cooked him.
Starmer absolutely rinsed him. Yeah, that's, you know what, fair play.
Yeah.
Yep.
See how much it will cost to install the heat pump. Go and see how much it will cost to change your car. Those are all the things that he's going to force you to do sooner than is necessary. You can go and see tonight the thousands of pounds that's going to cost you. I said it before. I'll say it again. He is going to put up your taxes.
Thank you.
Put up your bills.
Thank you very much.
As clear as night follows day.
I'm going to just return very briefly to Claire's question. She's talking about a climate catastrophe now. What are you doing to put climate at the very centre of your policies?
They're not. None of them are.
And that's what's stupid. As has been pointed out in chat, green policy is popular. It's far more so in the UK than in like France or America, for example. It's actually really popular to do things about climate change. The biggest policy that Labour had that people really supported was the £28 billion climate pledge that they threw away for no fucking reason. Like this is things that are popular, and they're fighting over who can do the fucking least.
Yeah, exactly. I think they are going to have to mute Rishi like they did with Trump that time. He just keeps fucking rambling all the while.
God, it's gonna be it's literally a fucking hippy dippy panel.
Very briefly.
I want to set up Great British Energy. This is a publicly owned company that will generate energy, that will have investment alongside it. It'll be owned by the taxpayer.
It's not going to generate energy. It's going to fund other companies that are going to generate energy through share equity. It's not its own company making energy. Like, even the good bit, like even the bit of this policy that I genuinely agree with, which is the local power plan, even that is not owned by GB Energy and doesn't make GB Energy an energy generator. So with the local power plan, they will take the investment fund, which is what GB Energy is, and give it to local authorities to fund local authority-owned power projects. Great, good. Really I'm glad that they're going to put money into local authorities to be able to bring council tax down and revenue for councils, and to also have locally owned and cooperatively owned energy. That's a really great plan, but it's not going to be run by GB Energy. GB Energy is not going to own the generation. It's just going to give them money to do it. These are not the same. That's not the same as an energy company.
Yeah, absolutely. He needs to be repeated because people, he's just going to carry on lying and he's not going to get called on it.
Yeah, exactly. That's frustrating because it's fine. It's not a bad policy per se. I'm not shitting on the idea of giving money to local councils for locally owned projects. That's good. But it's a lie. It's lying to say that it's a publicly owned energy company because it just is not.
True, and the Tories aren't going to call him on it either because they realise that they need to try and make him sound like a secret Tory trot, a secret, red fucking socialist communist. So anything that sounds vaguely like it might be public ownership sort of helps them in that. So they're just going to let him continue the lie.
Yeah.
Making money for the taxpayer and drive us to renewables so that we can have lower bills, secure energy, and the jobs of the future. I also think that we should insulate our houses because I think people are paying far too much in their bills, and and that was a project that was started 10 years ago and cancelled under the Conservatives when they said cut the green crap. We've lost 10 years. I'd get on with it and get your bills down because people are fed up with energy bills that have gone through the roof.
Thank you very much indeed for that. We've got another question.
Yeah,
a very important question from Miles from Ilford for both of you. Now, hey, Miles.
Thank you. Like many young people, I completed my final years of sixth form under COVID restrictions, started university under them, and I've had to deal with a cost of living crisis, a housing crisis, and an unstable world. What future can you offer my generation, and when will we become your priority?
Thank you very much.
To quote the person, the young lad that stopped Rishi Sunak in the street today, or yesterday, was it? Why do you hate young people?
Because they're not an electoral swing demographic. That's literally it. That's the only thing that is relevant to this. Young people all vote the same way, broadly, and therefore you don't need to appeal to them for the election. That's it. That's the reason why that nobody cares about them. And see, when you treat us like a priority, when you become a swing demographic in the electorate.
Yep. Or when you get out in enough numbers that it makes a difference.
Exactly. It's frustrating because we could have had huge amounts of buy-in from young people from how they were bought into Jeremy Corbyn's Labour. Even though you didn't think Labour might have been a good party, it was good that they brought young people into politics. And even if you thought Labour had to potentially change to be less left-wing than what Jeremy Corbyn was offering, you could have brought the young people with you by trying to marry the two sides of the party together. And what the right wing of the Labour Party have done is they've deliberately shat on young people totally and all of the things that they believe to set their factional battles, to finish their factional battles. And now young people, they've all left the Labour Party. They hate the Labour Party. They're voting for them because they feel like they have to. It's really disappointing that the buy-in from young people in politics has been shat through the floor by Morgan McSweeney and his band of ghouls. It's really depressing.
I apologise for the Hitler particles emanating from my co-host. That anti-Semitism does not represent me.
Kirsten.
Well, Miles, what I think is really important is that you have the further education opportunities that you need, whether that's university or...
Although, you're going to talk about your promises to what you said about tuition fees, Keith? You're going to do that at any point? It's like, say, we want to have access to university. However, I'm not going to be able to do anything about the fact that the fees are really high. In fact, what Bridget Phillipson and Keziah Dugdale have said, it might be that that they'll go up, the university fees.
Yeah, fuck you, everyone in Scotland. Why don't the people of Scotland want to vote for us? We just want to make them poorer and less economically mobile in the future.
Yeah, and on top of that, they also want to continue what they were saying to reduce immigration by reducing student visas, which takes away the access to funds for universities that all of this foreign capital would bring in through foreign students. They currently subsidise UK students because they pay much higher fees than we do. If they want to get rid of those, then the opportunities for further education are going to be even less unless they're going to throw extra money at them, which they won't because it's day-to-day spending, which would require tax rises under the fiscal rules.
Yeah.
Or technical skills. I think either are perfectly, they're equivalent, they're really important. My dad was a toolmaker, so he went down the skills route. I was
Fuck off. You can't pull out 2 toolmaker dads in one show. That's ridiculous, mate. You're having a laugh. Honestly, he's just doing it for the memes now. He knows people are playing bingo. We don't need.
It must be. It must be. Like people in the Starmer Politburo going, go on. We know that they hate it when you talk about the toolmakers all the time. Say it again. Yeah. Do it. Say it twice. Say it 3 times.
He hasn't mentioned Pebble Dash Semi. I'm furious.
Absolutely.
I've got it.
He's mentioned DPP twice as well.
Bro.
In my family to go to university. So we would ensure that those jobs are there for you for the future, that you have the opportunity to get on. We'll build the houses so you don't have to be, 30-something, 35, 36 before you own a house under this government. But what I won't be doing is sending you on national service, some sort of teenage dad's army, which would be what the Prime Minister would say. Forget going on to university. He wants to send you off to do national service.
Thank you very much, Keir Starmer. Rishi Sunak.
You know, we have an enormous amount to be proud of as a country, but we do need to do more to make sure our young people, like you, Miles, get the opportunities that they deserve. So that's why we will introduce a modern form of national...
That's not an opportunity. That's forced volunteerism, which is the opposite of volunteerism. And also, you're not trying to force it because there's not going to be any penalties. It makes no sense. Like, the way we're going to help you out is by forcing you to do something that you don't want to do. We're not going to give you opportunities. We're not going to, I don't know, reduce house prices by either building more or by stopping things like Help to Buy that's throwing huge amounts of extra liquidity into the property market to bump up middle-class kids to getting onto the property ladder, to feel like they're the achievers, the strivers rather than the skivers, for example. No one do any of this after 14 years of constantly pushing policy that's fucked over young people deliberately, constantly, with no respite whatsoever. They've done nothing for young people in the entirety of their time in government. And then to say, you know what the problem is? You're not spent enough time off your iPhone, so we're sending you on national service. Like, this is such a, it's so funny watching him, try and spin this as being, a pro-young people thing, and not just fucking, boomer bait.
Well, he did. He literally did. The guy, I mean, I mentioned it in passing, but the guy who stopped him and said, why do you hate young people? Why do you want to send us on this national service thing? And he just said, it's okay. You'll love it. You'll love it. What do you mean?
Yeah, literally.
No, I don't think we will love it. I think that's what he's asking you. Are you fucking cretin? Jesus.
National service, and I think it's going to be transformational for young people in our country, giving them the skills and
3 times.
Oh, mate.
3 times he's been laughed at. That's so funny.
Oh, Rishi, you don't need to keep burning yourself like this. It's not
incredible.
Just give up. Just go to California already. This is too embarrassing.
It's funny how Starmer has tried to throw this debate deliberately to Sunak, and Sunak's like, nope, I'm going to fucking shit on it as well. I'm going to be laughed at multiple times across this debate with things I've said myself. Not even from a put down from Starmer. I've said something embarrassing that's got laughed at 3 fucking times.
Yeah.
Opportunities they need to succeed in life, fostering a culture of service in our society, bringing it together, but also strengthening our resilience and security for the future. And I think it is going to be something that's incredibly positive. But beyond that, I want you to have financial security. So when you get that job, when you save for that house, we make it easier, which is why I want to keep cutting your taxes so you can keep more of your money, build for a deposit for that first house, and not saddle you with £2,000 of higher taxes.
Thank you very much indeed, Rishi Sunak.
Groaned! They fucking groaned at him.
Oh, he's been laughed at. He's been groaned at. Mate. Oh, it's not worth it, Rishi. Just leave.
My God. It's incredible that the poll showed that people thought that Sunak did better than Starmer. Because this is right at the end of the debate as well. I'm just like,
yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. Oh, no, that's rough.
It's really rough.
Keir Starmer called the national service proposals a teenage dad's army. What would you say to that, Rishi Sunak?
Yeah, I think
Tell him why you don't think it's that.
Yeah, whatever you might think of it, it is an idea that's transformational for our society.
Well, the army don't like it,
but
they say
Keir Starmer, all he can do, all he can do.
Whoa! So Starmer's not allowed to interrupt, but Sunak is allowed to interrupt. Moderator, fucking hell, Jesus.
Yeah, that literally is.
But yeah, because Starmer is right. The army don't want it. They don't have to spend their time fucking training young people to do a job that they don't want to do. It sounds miserable. Like, they want to get on with their lives, and young people want apprenticeships. They want university degrees. They want access to learning tools, and they want access to actual funded public services. These things will be a much better way of spending money than throwing them off into things where they're going to get trained for something that they're going to hate and that they don't want to do and that they're not going to do long term. It's wasting the time of the people who you're foisting them upon, and it's wasting their time as well. It's so stupid. It's so stupid.
It really is. No one likes this plan. It was clearly thought up on the spur of the moment to say something, anything, and it's so shit. And they have to go with it now because it's sunk cost fallacy, I guess. They can't drop it now because that would look even worse.
Yeah.
It's sneer at it because you don't have any ideas for the future. You don't have anything that's bold, that's going to transform our
look at my
country
shit
for the better.
idea.
In fact,
my absolutely shit idea. You don't even have any fucking terrible shit ideas.
I mean, at this point, probably a good thing. Probably a good thing has these terrible, shitty ideas. Because you can just go you can just literally go, all of this man's ideas are shit. We are a mystery box. Surely the mystery box can't be any worse. And people are like, yep, tick in the box.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's not a flex to say, my ideas are shit, but at least I have ideas. Because, like, the nutter at the bus stop screaming at the pigeons can say that. Like, it's nothing, mate. That's not. Again, yeah, people will vote for the mystery box over this bag of shit.
Yeah, also, by the way, awkward pop culture reference definitely is the Dad's Army. I can't believe I didn't spot
Dad's
that.
Army, yeah. Fair call. Yeah. Especially because it's a decent line that didn't get a joke, didn't get a laugh, so it's definitely awkward as well. Fucking hell.
I've made the announcement. I've had people talking to me about how they think it will be wonderful for their children, how they think it will change our country for the better, and it's an example of the bold action that I'm prepared to take to do things differently to deliver a more secure future. You don't have big ideas like that.
They've been in power for 14 years. And after 14 years, with a few weeks to go before the election, they come out with this desperate idea. It was such a brilliant idea. Why for 14 years has your government not lifted a finger to do it? It's a desperate attempt. Now the election's being called to get some attention to put something on the table. The other thing I would say is this. It is very important, Miles, is that the money the Prime Minister says he's going to use for this national service, he's going to take away from levelling up. Remember that promise in 2019 we're going to level up? When I was going to use the money for national service and the army say, and the military say, this isn't going to help us because we don't have the wherewithal to train people and it'll take away from our own budget.
That's a really good response, actually, because levelling up is like the big thing from the Boris Johnson manifesto that A, people really liked, B, I think reaches across the aisle, and C, they've massively fucking failed on. And to bring this up is like a really good move for Starmer, because really and truly, like, we should be levelling up. But of course, levelling up isn't going to be taking like lump sums of money and rebuilding the shopping centre in Wigan Town Centre or whatever. It's going to come from changing the fact that deindustrialisation has wrecked huge sways of the north of this country. But of course, when they have promised this small amount of funding, to take that away, to throw on some fucking nonsense thing that nobody likes and nobody thinks is going to be positive in any way, just shows you again how massively out of touch Sunak is. And Starmer skewering him on that's a really good move.
It is a really good move. You know, it was also a good move. The serfs raiding in. Hello, serf people.
Hey-o.
How are we? I'm Kevin Logan, a socialist from the UK. Yes, we do exist. We're not all just weird transphobes who want to sink boats full of migrants, I promise you. Anyway.
Yeah, again, no matter how much you think you hate British people, we hate British people more.
We hate the bungers far more because we have to live with the pricks. It's very annoying. Hit the follow button. I believe in you. You can do it and that you will do it. In fact, I demand it of you. Why am I turning people away with annoyance now? I don't know. Anyway. Also, I'm joined by the notorious No Justice MPG. who you should also go and follow if someone can link their thingamajig in the chat. And thank you to Anonymous for gifting 3 months to the Serfs, which is very generous.
Hey.
Much love to you. Anyway, we're watching the prime ministerial debate between Rishi Sunak and Keir Starmer. It's fucking awful. Honestly,
It's somehow right. It's somehow even more kind of stunted and weird and nonsensical than the Biden-Trump debate. That's how bad it is.
Well, at least Biden went, will you shut up, man? Like, that was fun.
He also said inshallah as well, which we're not hearing from
He
either of the panelists here.
He did say inshallah, as if I forgot that. Absolute belter. Honestly, can we go back to him being Dark Brandon and not Genocide Joe? Can he stop doing the genocide? That would be awesome.
That would be preferable, yeah.
To train people, and it'll take away from our own
Allow
budget.
Rishi Sunak to respond.
It's not thought through, it's not sensible, it's desperate.
Could you respond very specifically on those points?
Actually, having spoken to lots of people from the armed forces, they're very supportive of the plan, and they think it will do brilliant for them over time to attract people into the armed forces. And actually, the money that we spend on levelling up is partly spent spreading skills and opportunities for young people. And I think this is the best way to do it. But again, you've had 14 years with nothing to do but think about the future, but you have nothing to say about it, and all you can do is talk about the past. And it's clear, there are no big ideas.
He's still doing it! You can't be in power for 14 years and then be like, let's not talk about the past, shall we?
Yeah, absolutely. The thing is, I think at the very least, right, I can't believe I'm defending. I've done so much Starmer defense in this debate. Because literally, it's really difficult to be less likable than Sunak.
She's not a shit lib. Surf people, she's not a shit lib.
I'm not, but at the very least, Labour have thought about the kind of things that are necessary to help young people. Like, their plans may suck, but at least they understand that the housing crisis is a problem and that we need to build more houses. Right? They can't, like, the Tories are the ones who are blocking the housing. They're the ones who are pumping money into asset prices so that existing boomer homeowners get more wealth and young people are even further away from owning a home. At least Labour have said, we want to build on 1.5 million homes. They're not going to do it because they're relying on the private sector rather than building council housing. But at the very least, they understand the material conditions that face young people in this country. Whereas again, because material analysis is anathema to fucking libshits, like, they just think that, well, young people are bad because they've not been given the stiff upper lip of the British blah, or whatever it might be. We've almost a national service them out off their iPhones, for example, which is completely out of touch with the idea that, well, young people, they want good jobs, they want cheap houses, they want their bills to come down, and they want to feel like they have a future where the climate isn't destroying the planet and where the Nazis aren't back. Like, it's super simple to want to do these things. And at least Labour recognise that material policy to help these things, even if their policy sucks, is where this is going to come from. But the Tories don't want to do any of these things. They just have as the Labour Party would say, a gimmick that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. Rohack with the best comment ever. No, just MCG is basically British Hassan at this point. She's spitting. True.
I mean, my plan.
And she also thinks that America deserved 9/11.
I did say that on stream. It's true, but like, not sure. You said like America deserved 9/11, and then I said it's just like how Britain deserved 7/7 is what I actually said.
No. Oh, she had such a promising future. No.
It was a joke, by the way. But either way, I do plan to. I essentially do the same kind of content that Hassan does. It's just daily kind of current affairs analysis that's specific to the UK. Like, that's what I kind of following that model because there's clearly a gap in the market for it. It's my USP.
True.
So if that sounds interesting to you, Surf's viewers, come and drop me a follow over on Twitch or a subscription on YouTube. Both of those are free.
Indeed so. Thank you, Flint Reed, with 10 quid. Have yourself a pint or two of Scrumpy. Young'un. I haven't been called Young'un in a while. Thank you. Much love.
It's also Scrumpy. Nice. We don't do any, and we don't do any of that fizzy shit around here.
Because I'm a Guinness boy, so I only
Oh, really? Fair enough then. Fair enough.
Yeah.
If we want to transform our country for the better and deliver a secure future, you've got to have leaders who are prepared to do big, bold things.
I am. Not saying you're stuck in the past.
Yeah, but big, bold shit.
On the one hand, he says these are all the big ideas that Keir Starmer's coming up with, and they'll cost a fortune. Then he says he hasn't got any big ideas. I do appreciate why he doesn't want to talk about the last 14 years. He's ashamed of the last 14 years. He's not said tonight in this debate one thing saying, this is our proud record, vote for me because we've got a great record. He can't say that. He can't say vote for Conservatives because we've got great leaders, burnt through 5 prime ministers. So all he can do is say, please look at the future, but please don't look at what we've done in the last 14 years.
Thank you.
We cannot have 5 more years of this. Got to draw a line, we've got to turn a page and start
Thank you very much.
Labour.
Okay, and
that's fair.
I think,
you know what? That's a good answer, man.
That's definitely. I think that's the best answer of the night that we've heard so far, really and truly. And I wish he touched more on like the material conditions, as I mentioned before, like saying, well, you know, you don't understand young people, you don't understand normal people, you don't understand the lives of regular people, especially not young people who are looking at no future, because that's what you've created for them. You've taken away their future with your policy. But what he said is, you know, is perfectly acceptable. And I think this idea that the Tories taking away young people's futures, I think that's really a line they should be going with. Because it's true. It's literally true.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I think he answered that perfectly acceptable. Again, we set the bar a little lower for Keir because he's so shit at this. But I think that was a perfectly reasonable answer.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. You're talking about like he's ashamed of it. That's yeah, it's true. They should be ashamed. They should be fucking ashamed.
They are ashamed, and they should be ashamed because they realise that people, like literally, on the couple of occasions he's tried to sort of say the Tories have done well, the audience has literally laughed at him.
Yeah, it's
people,
true.
It's set in completely that the Tories are shite. So it's, you know, it can't
again,
really
it's just
do
like the Amber Rudd moment, just like the judges on our record cue audience laughter.
Yeah, true.
Miles is listening very patiently to all of this, and I want to root this in his question, whatever the to and fro on that issue may have been between the two of you. You're both homeowners. The most common living arrangement for 18 to 34-year-olds is living with their parents. Do the young need to change their expectations of home ownership now?
Frame it this way. The richest prime minister we've ever had. Well, you're a homeowner. Yeah.
You're a mansion owner.
You own several estates. You own half of Gloucestershire. Yeah.
You use taxpayers' money to heat your swimming pool.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Ridiculous.
Do we have to be realistic about this? The young people of this country deserve some honesty. Rishi Sunak.
Yeah, it is too hard to own your own home, and I want everyone to feel what I experienced when I got the keys to my first flat, because it's a very special feeling, and we need to make it easier. And that's why we've delivered 1 million homes in this Parliament, and we'll keep building homes in the right place, but not concreting over the countryside as Labour would do. But crucially, we need to make it easy for you to save for that deposit. And that's why I want your hard work to be rewarded. I don't think we should be taxing you more, because that's just going to make it even harder for you to get on the property ladder.
But you're going to
answer is just tax. That's all they've got.
Yeah, I mean, and people don't want to hear it. They want to hear how they're going to fix public services, fix the country. There, actually, really and truly, you might get taxed a little bit more. The rich might get taxed. Like this isn't like some of the people hate, for example.
Yeah. Bad.
Really, really silly. And again, on top of that, he's saying things like, we want to be able to help you to get on your housing ladder. We built all these homes. Not going to concrete over the country like Labour. I told you they'd go for this. I told you they were going to... Because again, that concrete over... That's not playing towards young people. That's playing towards rural Conservative voters who are worried that too high immigration is going to concrete over the country, even though something like 4% built on or something like that. But if you don't increase the productive capacity of the economy by sorting out a population tree, by bringing in working age people to pay that tax, we're not going to be able to afford to have the welfare state. We're not going to be able to afford to have the NHS and things like that we need.
Well, that's how you know he's not actually trying to win the election. He's literally just trying to not get completely wiped out. Is that he's just going to appeal to boomers, traditional Conservative voters, rural, elderly. Daily Mail readers. That's it. He's just trying not to get for it to totally bottom out and him end up with 30 seats or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
If he can get to 3 figures, I think he'll probably consider that probably a job well done and then fuck off to California forever.
100%.
Yeah.
And as Safa points out in Twitch chat too, like, why are they not talking about renters, for example? Like, they again, all of the focus here is on the swing voters, where it's the parents of middle class kids who just need to be able to afford the deposit because their jobs are pay enough that they can afford the mortgage repayments, even with the higher rates because of the increased interest rates. But we're not talking about rent controls. We're not talking about council houses. We're not talking about, like, the people who really need help at the moment, the people who will never be able to afford to get on the property ladder because they're too poor. They're too poor to get on the property. They won't be able to afford the deposit, and even then, they won't have enough monthly. Their wages aren't high enough monthly for them to be able to pass an affordability check for a mortgage at the moment. Like this, and because again, people from those backgrounds, they're all voting Labour anyway, or they're voting for a left-wing party. They're never going to vote Tory. It's only the quote-unquote aspirational types that are the swing voters. So the only people who get policy targeted at them.
Yeah.
Fucking first past the post.
Jesus Christ. Rishi hired at the cost of £110,000 a taxpayer-funded debate coach. Jesus
Really?
Christ. Yeah.
Christ.
Graham
Was it
Davies.
Destiny?
No. Graham Davies, who calls himself, quote, the presentation coach, has been drafted in to help ministers improve their public speaking. He previously coached Rishi Sunak. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh my God. Under £9,166 per month contract. Per month. Oh my God, what a joke. Fuck's sake.
Starmer, on this specific point.
I think what you raise is really important because for young people, the dream of home ownership has all but gone. The average age for owning a home now, Miles, is late 30s. That's shocking because I know what your own roof over your head means for an individual. It meant the world to me when I was...
So
we will build 1.5 million homes. Picking a number requires a plan. And if those homes are going to be built, we're going to have to change the planning laws to make sure we can get on with it. We're going to have to make sure our mayors and combined authorities have the powers they need to put the homes in the places. And we need to make sure the amenities that are there, the schools, the health clubs, etc., to support those homes. So we've got a clear plan to deliver on the homes that will make sure, Miles, that you get that chance for the dream far earlier than you do under this failed government.
All right, thank you very much indeed.
I think probably a fine answer, but they should have mentioned the new towns. Like that's like a key part of the building pledge for Labour, isn't it? Like the new towns. Why did they bring that up? That's weird.
Yeah, a bit peculiar. I think they're both running out.
There was so much,
to be honest. But...
Yeah.
That was in the question from Miles. Thank you very much indeed for that. And we're just going to come now to a final quick-fire question. It's been a pretty serious evening in terms of what we've discussed so far.
Oh God, how cringe is this going to be?
Just to both of you. Apparently, there is another big contest on this summer. For many, it's the biggest contest.
No.
And that is, of course, the Euros. We know you're both football fans. You are not the only...
Starmer's a football fan, but Sunak is not a football fan. The man is clearly a cricket fan. I know that it's a stereotype, the Asian man likes cricket, but it's true. When he filmed his Christmas funny video, I thought it was cuter than people trashed it. I thought it was fine. It was literally him bowling tennis balls that stacked up Coke cans. This man is clearly a cricket fan and not a football fan.
Well, no, you can
ask him about the World Cup.
Yorkshire people love cricket. It's got nothing to do with him being Asian. What are you talking about?
True.
It's like Jeff Boycott.
Absolutely, very Yorkshire accent he's got there.
Well.
Absolutely, go home there. Just as soon as this is finished, he's going to be out there in his flat cap putting money on the dogs.
No. You can tell a Yorkshireman much, but you can't tell him fuck all. Yeah, okay.
Leader.
Yeah. Rishi Sunak should just say, "What is a football? I don't know what that is."
A soccer ball. Did you catch that ludicrous display last night?
Yeah, the problem with England is they try and pass it in.
Yeah. Although I did prefer to quote something non-Linehan related, we could do the Peep Show one. It's like, did you see the match? Which one? You know, the big fixture. You can't kick it that hard. No, we all have to. That was too hard, wasn't it? Oh God, He immediately thinks I know about bibs. Do you know what? I wish I could say that was my joke, but literally that was the Lib Dems on TikTok. They got the internal thoughts from Mark Corrigan playing football and put them over footage of Rishi Sunak playing football and put it on TikTok. And I was like, you know what, Lib Dems, fair enough. That was funny.
Yeah, no, occasionally they get, because the thing is, they employ younger people to do the social media, and mainly because it's not as prestigious, I guess. And some of them actually do understand how to do a meme or something, The occasional W.
Under pressure to win, and sometimes accused of not being exciting enough. So here, slightly with my tongue in cheek, if you'll forgive me, both of you, is a question that we've literally just had in from Gareth, who's on his way to Germany. What is the best leadership approach? Play it safe or take some risks and go for the win? What would be your leadership style?
What the fuck is that
Sunak,
question? She has been dog shit. She's been awful throughout it, and she's just decided to end it on a waste of our time.
Yeah, absolutely. Although to the question that's being asked here, both of them are going to say it's going to be bold, and for both of them, it's not true.
Yeah, they started with lies and they're gonna end with lies.
Yeah, literally.
Well, not to give advice to Gareth Southgate, who, when I met him, we did discuss who had the worst job in Britain in terms of other people giving you their opinions. But I say you need to have a clear plan and you need to take bold action because you don't do anything without those things.
Thank you very much, Rishi Sunak. Keir Starmer, briefly.
Game plan, good squad, and he's got both of those. I really think England are going to do really well this year. He's got a fantastic team.
And I'm really, radical, or do you play it safe?
Sorry? You need a strategy for winning, so it depends who you're playing, what the issue is. That's what Gareth does. He's very, very good at this. And he's
it's terrible. It's a bad answer. No.
Okay.
And just like I've got a brilliant...
You couldn't... literally, you couldn't... Like, to quote Peep Show again, if you can't sum up your aims in the first two lines, Keir, then your aims are too diffuse.
Yeah, exactly.
My aims are not too fucking diffuse, okay? Sorry, I'm saying
honestly,
they won't be too diffuse.
I'm about to give him an angry lap dance, I swear to God.
OK, thank you very much, gentlemen, for both of those answers on the footy. Thank you.
Is that about football?
And we go now to the candidates' closing statements. First of all, Keir Starmer.
Thank you. I don't offer you the gimmicks or unfunded promises that Rishi Sunak does.
Unfunded.
I don't pretend there's a magic wand that will fix everything overnight. Instead, I offer a practical, common-sense plan to change Britain. This election is about who our country works for. The simple, patriotic belief that Britain can be better and must be better. Imagine how you would feel waking up on July the 5th to 5 more years of the Conservatives. 5 more years of decline and division. The arsonists handed back the matches. Now imagine turning the page with a Labour government that rolls up its sleeves and gets on with the job, that puts the country back in your service. The choice at this election is clear. More chaos with the Conservatives or the chance to rebuild Britain with a changed Labour Party.
Oh, we've got bingo right in the closing statement. There we go. Changed Labour. Woo-hoo-hoo. Finally, something to get excited about from this debate.
Getting on with the job, but it says on the thing Sunak getting on with the job, so I don't think I can even circle that one. Oh fuck!
I'll give you it. It's not my. It's not. They both keep talking about getting on with the job, but it's not my bingo card. But you can have it. Literally saved by the bell, absolutely. Like almost at the very last moment, I finally scored a bingo. Thank you, Sir Keith. I appreciate you.
Well, I've got quite a few without getting a fucking line anywhere. Furious.
Yeah. Sunak, not. I've already had an almost line. I just need Sunak to say long-term decisions. We've not said anything.
Yeah.
Time to
Technically,
catch
I'm not
up
sure
on
he
the
said
politics.
turning the corner, so I didn't give it myself. But there's a few. Fucking hell. Pebble Dash semi
Keir
annoying.
Starmer. Rishi Sunak.
Either Keir Starmer or I will be your Prime Minister, and a vote for anyone else makes it more likely that it will be him.
Somebody's scared of reform. Someone's scared of the vote splitting on the right. And literally, like you can tell,
Nigel Farage just made him shit himself. Yes.
Literally, he's not even trying to appeal to like swing voters in the centre because he knows none of them are going to vote for him anyway. So it's like, please don't desert me for Nigel Farage's party. I promise I'm just as racist.
Yeah. Although it's interesting, it was funny to see Richard Tice in the cuck chair now. Because literally he was leader until Farage went, "No, I'm leader now," and he just had to go. He's not the chairman of the party. He's the cuck chairman of the party.
The cuck chairman of the party, literally, because Nigel Farage is the majority shareholder. So at any point, like he said, Richard Tice asked me to become leader. I'm like, no, mate, you told him to fuck off. You told him, it's my company. I'll do what I want.
You said, no, you sit in the chair. I'm gonna fuck your wife, and then you clean up afterwards, bitch. See you later. Peace out.
Agree or disagree with me, you know what I stand for. I'll always have your back, as I did with furlough.
What do you stand for? You got elected on a platform that you don't believe in anymore. You run on policies that you think were stupid when you were in the backbenches, but now fully support when you're Prime Minister. Half your policies don't make sense, and half of them are made up on the spot. No one has a fucking clue what you stand for, other than just being the man who's not Keir Starmer. Like, that's such a weird thing for him to say.
No, what he does is he stands on a milk crate. Because he's small. Oh, I nearly got through a whole stream without doing a small joke. No.
Oh dear.
I'm not better than this.
No. But with Keir Starmer, apart from higher taxes, you don't know what you'd get, and neither does he. And we've heard a lot about change from him, but change to what? Keir Starmer is asking you to hand him a blank cheque when he hasn't said what he'll buy with it or how much it's going to cost you. In uncertain times, we simply cannot afford an uncertain Prime Minister. If you don't know what you're going to get with Labour, don't vote for it. On the 4th of July, choose lower immigration, lower taxes, and protected pensions. Choose a secure future with the Conservatives.
You were the ones who taxed the pensions. I'm still mad about that. I'm still mad about the fact that
it's very annoying, yeah.
The Starmer didn't push back on that. But again, it's funny who he sounds like he's appealing to here, which is very funny to me. But again, as I said before, you know, the Labour are running on the idea of being the mystery box and literally just saying, well, nothing can be worse than the Conservatives. And Rishi Sunak is going, we don't know what they're going to do. Could it really be worse than me? And I'm just like, yes. Yeah, like you are definitely the worst option here. Like, you know, like how could it possibly be worse than the last 14 years?
People groaned at you, mate. Like, I don't know how else to more perfectly sum it up. They groaned. A room full of adults groaned at you.
Yeah, literally.
It's over. It's over.
Yeah.
Thank you very much indeed, Rishi Sunak and Keir Starmer. Well, that's it. Quite a night. We've come to the end of our debate. You've heard from Rishi Sunak and Keir Starmer head-to-head tonight. You can also hear what other parties standing in this year's general election have to offer in the ITV election interviews with Anushka Asthana coming up next. The conversation will continue, not just here on ITV, on our national and regional news. And next Thursday...
Right, I'm bored of this already, man. Let's move on. This is just plugs. I don't need plugs.
Yeah.
That was excruciating.
That
but
was.
I got bingo.
I didn't. I'm gutted. Oh, furious, mate. Anyway, oh, hang on. What happened there? Did we have anything else, or was that it? I don't know.
I mean, I was gonna probably just leave it there, but people have been posting clips on Twitter, and they were discussing the debate on Newsnight. And it's Mick Lynch versus Piers Morgan, which honestly sounds incredible. Yeah,
that does sound good. Let's fucking have it. Come on.
Do you want to be in control of this one?
We can do if you've got a link for me. Yeah.
I'll just be iPlayer if it's Newsnight.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, okay. We'll do that then. iPlayer. Right then. Newsnighty. Fuck's sake. Election debate. Who won? Okay. What the fuck? Go turn off for this site. Yes.
Also, but I appreciate all the chatters for sticking around. I know it was very difficult for me to do interaction whilst we had so much going on and so many viewers as well. But I appreciate everyone tuning in, and I appreciate everyone with the subs and the bits and the memberships and the super chats and all that malarkey. And the new subscribers and the new followers, I appreciate everyone who's just jumped in. If it's the first time going to the stream, you're through the Justice stream, talk about UK politics 6 days a week. I'm a socialist from the UK. I'm joined by Kevin Logan, also a socialist from the UK, which is KFLogan1875 over on Twitch, or at Ploppy111 over on YouTube for you to go and drop a subscription-rino.
Yes, indeed.
To
Thank
Kevin,
you. Hello.
Sir Kevin of Loganshire as 11 Breathe.
True. Also, it's good to see that Piers Morgan is now prepared to sit alongside a baddie from Thunderbirds, which is good. I'm glad about that. Good for him.
Wasn't it from Captain Scarlet? Was it from? Or was it?
Was it? I don't fucking know.
some puppet show. I think maybe you're right. Maybe it probably was Thunderbirds. Either way, you probably remember better than I do.
Yeah, who cares? Will the BBC fuck you on DMCA? Possibly. I don't know. We'll see.
Not on none of these things. So I do BBC reactions all of the time, and I've never had a problem outside of Question Time because it's not produced by the BBC. It's produced by the company that produced Robot Wars.
Oh, nice.
Who won?
I think Sunak won.
Why?
I mean, because he's 20 points behind on the polls. His personal approval ratings are in the tank. No one's giving him a chance. And the first poll I've seen since the debate has him edging it 51 to 49%. I think it was a better win than that. What he didn't do a knockout punch. He did the jab. And he jabbed repeatedly with the same very effective message, which was £2,000. And inexplicably, Keir Starmer, who should have predicted this was coming, just didn't answer the question. So
You mean
Sunak
didn't knock it down, the £2,000?
Well, he did,
Yeah,
he just
exactly.
didn't
I said
respond.
that, yeah,
He
yeah.
wasn't denying it. He
Hang on a
wasn't
minute.
clarifying it. He wasn't doing anything
Hang
until
on a
about
minute.
halfway through.
He did try and push back on that and got overridden by the moderator.
Yeah.
So we literally spent, I need to dispel that. And she was like, no, we're moving on. Like, the stupid part was, of course, when he said Starmer wants to tax pensions. And I was like, no, you've taxed pensions. You're giving pensioners tax relief from a tax that you've imposed on them. And Starmer never responded with that specific point. Just let it lie that he was going to tax people's pensions. Like, that's a really big cohort demographic that you don't want to lose. Those kind of like death tax, for example, attacks were used against the Labour Party of old. Like, they should know better than to leave this door open rather than being open with what you believe. But like, pensioners are really, really sticklers for whether or not you're going to tax them. And to try and imply that it was Keir Starmer doing the tax, not Sunak. It was Jeremy Hunt doing fiscal drag that's pushed pensioners into paying tax, and he's giving them tax relief from his own thing. And that Starmer never pushed back. It was crazy.
Yeah. Yes, thank you, Flint Reed with £5. He says, every time you hit the like button, a Tory dream dies. Give it a go. Which is true. That is true. You should do that.
The debate, and by then I think the damage was done, and Sunak recognised that, cleverly kept smacking him with the 2,000. I don't think much of the other stuff is going to really resonate or kick through by tomorrow or next day, but the 2,000 may well do.
I don't think any of it will resonate ultimately. I don't think people give a shit, really.
Very little was really said. Very little was said. Both of them are kind of non-entities.
They'll just do some vibe stuff like Sunak was a bullying prick. Starmer's a bit of a wet lettuce, but no one really cares. Like, I don't think this will make any noticeable difference on the polling at all, to be honest.
No, I don't think so. Can you scroll back up again? Sorry.
I'm not. No, that's I'm at the top.
Oh, that's weird. For some reason it was lower than. Sorry, I can change my orientation. One sec.
Sorry.
I don't know why it changed for some reason. Maybe that's my fault from the way I'm viewing the video feed. Either way, we're sorted now.
Because people are looking at Labour and they're thinking, you're probably going to win. You're probably going to be the next government. But actually, what do you stand for? And how are you going to pay for all these policies you're talking about, given that you've already ruled out 75% of all the taxation revenue streams? So I think Sunak was quite effective with that and did better probably than people assumed he would do.
Mick Lynch?
That's basically
Sunak did quite well, but I don't think he won. I think it was a draw. It was fairly bland. I think people would have been fairly bored of it at home. But Starmer should have dealt with the £2,000. But that is a side effect of not having a bold economic policy and not having tax and spend, which Rachel Reeves has tied him to, and he's gone.
He's been speaking for like 3 sentences, and he's already said more than we've heard for the entire fucking stream. From all
literally. Exactly. I mean, it was exactly what I was saying earlier. All of these attacks that Sunak can do on Keir Starmer over how you're going to fund these policies is because they have explicitly hamstrung themselves with A, the fiscal rules, and B, their desire to look like they're not the party of taxation. Again, as I said, if they just said, we're going to put a wealth tax on those with £10 million of assets or more, which is basically nobody who actually matters come the election, will raise £50 billion, that will go into these plans, and it would be more than would pay for all of the plans they say that they want to do. And then they could use it like they used to use the non-dom taxpayers and just say, yes, but already paid for, it's already paid for, like, you can't answer this question to me, it's already paid for, let's move on to real issues, because you can't come back at me on how I'm going to pay for it, because you've got this massive windfall coming from our wealth tax. But they won't do it because that's what their paymasters don't want. The hedge fund bankers and the private equity investors who fund Labour together don't want them to do it.
Sure. And thank you to Lana Pierce, who I assume is American, with £5. Says, nice accent and beard, and you're cool, X. Oh, I mean, you're correct. I mean, just obviously correct about all of those things. Thank you.
Along with, if you want to change the country, you're going to have to do something about tax, and you're going to have to do something about expenditure. So he's saddled with this non-response, but he could have dealt with that in the first 10 seconds he heard it. He could have just said the words, that's not true, I'm not going to do it. And he took a long time to get there. I don't really think he actually rebutted it at all fully. And he should have done that and just got on with the debate, really.
Labour certainly have since. Now, there will be millions of people engaging.
And then if you establish it early, you can then, every time he tries to bring it up, just go, that's bullshit. Or word, you can't obviously swear, but words to those effect, you say that's nonsense. I've already told you that's nonsense. Stop lying. Would be very straightforward. But once you've sort of conceded it the first time, it's almost like, well, that's established now. If you go back against it now, people say, well, why didn't you say that earlier? You know?
Yeah, it's true. And you have to do it immediately, otherwise it looks like you're backpedaling. And so that failure to do it straight away, as Mick Lynch said, it was a real failure of the debate strategy. Because again, if Sunak had kept pushing after Starmer had explicitly rebutted it, Starmer would have looked better. Sunak would have looked, again, as we've said many times, petulant and belligerent, which people already think that he is from the clips they've seen in interviews, the clips they've seen from PMQs. He's inherently unlikable, and it's a real kind of massive own goal of Starmer to just let it hang there and not challenge it.
And it puts you on the defensive, which makes you look weak. It makes you look like, well, he's the one in control and you're the one who's defending a record. Whereas it should be obviously the other way around. You're the guy who should be attacking him for his shit record. So in some respect, in that one very, very tiny respect, I think Sunak performed relatively well. Again, it won't make any difference, but, you know, I think he comes out of this probably feeling a bit better than Starmer does, I imagine.
Oh, 100%. Like, rhetorically, he was better as well. You can clearly see the debate coaching that the taxpayer has paid for Rishi Sunak is clearly paid off. It's clearly paid off because Starmer looked wooden. He looked, again, like he was speaking to a judge rather than a jury. It didn't really seem like he was properly engaging with what was being scrutinised. But, of course, Sunak is incredibly unlikable already, that he can't run on any record, as has been said. So it's very easy for Starmer to get cheap shots and come off fine. Like, it's not going to affect the polling, let's be real. It's not like the slam dunk that Sunak needed to turn this election around, but it did really show how weak Starmer is as a leader and as a politician.
I don't think people pay enough attention, even if it would have been like a total wipeout, even if Sunak had totally blitzed him for the entire hour. I don't think enough people pay that much attention for it to be a knockout. I don't think that's really a possibility.
I would push back and I say I think these debates become like the focal point of elections in a way that like the side shows don't really. I think like Novara had 46,000 people watching them react to the debate. It was wild how many people they got. So it's clearly piqued people's interest, especially at prime time on a terrestrial program. So it has more cut through than bits and pieces happening during the day on like online news programs. But I think you're right that even with that being the case, the likelihood of it being having any effect on the outcome of the election is basically zero.
Yeah.
With this election campaign, for the first time tonight, having watched that, what will they have learned about those two men?
I quite enjoyed it. I don't really agree with Mick. He was chuntering away while we were watching it together. We were bonding, I have to say, over our bounty bars. But it was actually, I thought it was quite combative.
Okay. I do want to see a odd couple comedy involving these two. I do want to see that. I would watch that. They for some reason they're forced to live together and just to see their interactions, I think it would be beautiful.
Yeah.
We're both quite fired up. I thought Sunak more than Starmer, actually. I got the feeling with Sunak, the polls are disastrous. Latest poll today, the Survation poll, catastrophic if that comes in. So he's got nothing to lose. And I think he came out punching. And, look, they're in a terrible position. 14 years, and we've got to basically a political abyss. So he has nothing to lose. However, Keir Starmer, everyone assumes he's going to win by this massive majority now. That brings with it its own pressure. And I don't think he performed very well tonight, because I was looking at him thinking, what is your big plan? And Sunak was clever to keep pushing him. You don't have a plan. I have a plan. You don't have a plan. So that message in the 2000 repeatedly
Sunak doesn't have a
for
plan
most of the
either.
debate, I took that away as a kind of message in my head, and I think voters will too.
Do you agree?
Also, I have to say, how much of a fucking nerd is Piers Morgan that he enjoyed that?
I know, it was soporific for most of it, wasn't it?
It was fucking awful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Lana, with another £5. She says, I found you from Helena Stream. I am from Stourbridge originally, which is not that far from me. I've been on holiday to Stourbridge. Yeah. Not the US. Lol. I'm also shit-faced tonight.
Also, thank you, Lana Pierce, for the £10 super chat on my end, saying, love you, Helena. So happy to feel part of a community where I belong. I appreciate the kind words and thank you for the generous donation.
If you sober up and want your money back, tough shit. It's too late. I've already spent it. Fuck off.
You don't think you can refund super chats?
Probably not, but in all seriousness, if you do sober up and want your money back, get in contact. I'll fucking refund you. Whatever. We'll find a way. Love finds a way.
Voters will be still voting for him, and I think the people that are going to change will change. But he needs to come to the country with a bolder message and drop in the green industrial
can I
revolution.
At that point, why does he when they're 20 percentage points ahead?
Well, because it won't last. Once you're in power for 6 months, people will be looking for programmes, they'll be looking for initiatives, they'll be looking for change. And if you don't deliver change because you're tied to a Tory fiscal policy, then you've got a problem. So I think they need in the next few weeks to show there will actually be change as a result of Labour winning the election.
They're going to have a problem, Labour, whatever happens. There is no money. We all know there's no money.
No, there is money. It's just rich people have all of it.
True, indeed. And on top of that, even the time when we were told there was no money left because of the Liam Byrne note, that was when our debt to GDP ratio was 65%. It's now over 90%. So, where is the metric at what counts there being no money? Again, it's all framing, it's all rhetoric, it's all economic mumbo-jumbo to make people think that it's like a household budget, and not indeed that there is still plenty of room for fiscal expansion. A country with a high debt to GDP ratio is not necessarily worse than one with a low debt to GDP ratio. Bond yields may be higher than they were 12, 18 months ago, but bond yields are still normal in response to how much they are in the terms of our national history. Again, our debt to GDP ratio was over 200% just coming out of World War II. Clement Attlee nationalised 20% of the economy. He built the welfare state in the NHS and hundreds of thousands of council houses. Just because the debt to GDP ratio is high doesn't mean there's no money left and we can't do anything. In the words of John Maynard Keynes, right? If there is something that we can do, we can afford it.
Yes. Also, I do like the fact that they've got, presumably it's just a reflection in the window, but it looks like Keir Starmer is floating over her shoulder outside, peering in on the conversation.
Yeah, staring in through the window like James Dellingpole's son at the curry and beer during the campaigning under lockdown.
Oh, that is one hell of a reference point. Good Lord. I just meant it in a creepy dystopian way, but you made it real. Oh.
So he looks like he's looking through a little window at the back.
Yeah.
The bit in Peep Show where Gerard is out in the third Peep Show reference. Gerard is outside staring at Mark and Dobby through the pub window. It's like, I'm going to kill you, Gerard. Kill you till you're dead.
Yeah, okay. Someone had a good one in chat, actually, which I didn't feel like interrupting with during the debate, but was it Football Secrets of the Pharaohs? Would be a great book for Starmer.
Money. This is not like 97 when Tony Blair came sweeping in with a massive landslide win, but had a very strong economy and was able to hit the ground running and do what he wanted to do. Keir Starmer's not going to have that if he wins this election. There is no money.
There is quite a lot of money in this country.
Well, there is the way you want to raise it, which is raise taxes on the rich.
There is plenty of money in the country.
Yeah. I mean, you say that scoffingly, but what? Yeah, let's do that.
Absolutely. Again, it's just So you admit that there is money then. So you admit that
Yeah.
there is money. So there isn't no money. There is access to money. You just don't want it to be taken from
You
people
are a liar.
who make it through not actually working, who make it through owning, who make it through shareholder dividends, who make it through rent, who make it through being able to leverage their existing wealth to take out loans to buy big companies like Elon Musk does. You want to protect the super rich. I wonder why. Is it because you're an employee of Talk TV that's owned by Rupert Murdoch, who is exactly one of those people who makes money by doing nothing but owning loads of things? How
Yeah.
curious.
Yeah, you're Rupert Murdoch's little bitch. Yeah, Keir. Not Keir. Well, yeah, Keir as well, but specifically Piers and other names that rhyme with ear.
Country. It's just a matter of whether you want to get some of it and
You would like
distribute it more equitably.
You want to take it from the rich and give it to the poor. I get that. And I, by the way, full respect for that. But the reality is Keir Starmer will not say anything like that before the election.
No.
Yeah, but his point, dickhead, is that he's not saying that, but he should. You pointing out the thing that he's already just said.
Exactly. And if he doesn't
As if that's
do
like
it,
a piece of analysis that you've come up with.
yeah, and if he doesn't have it in the manifesto coming into the election, there's going to be no justification for them being able to do it later. They've been very explicit on there being no tax rises. There was a Telegraph article, capital gains tax and wealth taxes were explicitly ruled out by Rachel Reeves. Like, they've already ruled these things out, Piers. To say that, oh, well, he's not saying it now because they want to do it later, as if that's like a scare for the potential wealth tax that's coming down the line. First of all, they've not said anything about it at all. And on top of that, do you really think that the people who fund groups like Labour Together, the new donors that have taken over trade union funding for the first time ever with regards to the Labour Party, do you think they're going to let the people who they're paying money to take money away from them when they're expecting return on investment? Pull the other one, mate. It's got bells on.
He doesn't want to scare the animals and the children. He wants to basically get over the line, get power, and I understand that and I respect it. As Tony Blair always said, that you can have all the fancy plans in the world. If you don't get power, it's pointless. So Keir Starmer wants and needs to win, but at the
Well, this just shows you the fucking how it's just a game for these rich, private school educated pricks. I don't give a fuck about power for the sake of power, because if you're going to get power and then do nothing with it or do bad things with it, what is the point? Yeah. If I wanted dickheads to go in there and fuck me, I'd vote Tory.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, if you're just going to be another version of the Tory party, of what use are you? We already have that, and not just that, but like, I mean, loath as I am to say that Nigel Farage was right about something, in his address yesterday, the press conference to announce that he's running and cocking the fuck out of Richard Tice, he said that the two main parties are sounding very similar, and we need an alternative, and that's true. But I did have to then point out, like, you've taken these two centre-right parties that sound too similar and thought we need a far-right alternative to these two dickheads. That's the thing you thought we needed in this space. Thanks, Nigel, you prick. But yeah, the two parties are just the same fucking thing. And someone in chat the other day was doing the whole like quoting from Animal Farm. You know, you look from the pigs to the humans to the pigs, and they couldn't tell the difference anymore. So yeah, they are. That's exactly what this is.
the moment, I'm looking at him thinking, I don't see any great ideology to drag this country out of the doldrums. And I'm not sure voters who watch that debate will think that either. He looked a little bit shifty and evasive to me.
Did he?
I don't think he's shifty and evasive. I think he is what he presents, that he's careful. And that may win in the election, but it may not endear him to the country as we go forward. There have been some very vanilla politicians in the past who've been successful. Clement Attlee wasn't a great speaker. He wasn't a radical, but he was bold.
Right, but to be fair, he didn't exist at a time when mass media was a thing. The internet obviously wasn't a thing. Fucking TV wasn't really a thing. It existed, but like most people didn't have it, so it wasn't really effective. So you could be way, way more vanilla. You could be a terrible public speaker, and it didn't really make much difference.
Exactly. And on top of that, I would actually push back on this idea that Clement Attlee wasn't a radical. The Keynesian break from the...
I think you've misunderstood what he was saying. He was saying vanilla in the sense of public appearance. I think we paused him at the wrong moment for you. He's about to say he was economically radical. but that in
Right.
terms of his approach to the public presentation wasn't good or whatever.
Also, even if he is talking about economic radicalism, maybe it is correct to say, well, he wasn't radical. The things that we want and the things that Jeremy Corbyn wanted are not radical. Maybe it's rhetorically, even if it may not be true or untrue, it's probably rhetorically more proficient to just say, no, yeah, Clement Attlee did all of these things and it was normal and good. And we should do them again. True, I agree.
Well, it should be pointed out that if that's radical, well, I mean, the NHS is the most popular institution in the country. Maybe we need more radical then.
Yeah.
Strangely, he was a moderate, bold person. And you can win an election like that. You
Oh,
can say,
maybe,
"Look,
well,
you
I
can
don't
trust
know.
me,
I don't know.
but I've got to do some of these things to change the country round. If we want to rebuild our infrastructure, our care service, NHS, everyone knows it costs money, and people are prepared to pay for it if you deliver a better system. And I think they should have gone with that message. Unfortunately, they haven't, so they're going to take government without a particularly strong message about anything.
And on things like
which is one of the problems.
Well, immigration.
We're going to come back to
yeah,
that, if I
okay,
may,
yeah,
if I
because
may,
I thought that was
we're going to go
interesting.
to Salford now to talk to Nick, who is in the spin room. Nick, we are about to talk.
Do we care about what this guy has to say?
No, more Mick Lynch, please.
Yeah, let's skip past this twat.
In a moment, we're just sorting out the comms. There's always an issue. Piers Morgan and Mick Lynch have given their assessment thus far. I mean, the point about the £2,000 is that the assumptions on which the calculations are based have been made by Tory special advisors, by political appointees. They're not impartial or independent, which is what Rishi Sunak was claiming on the programme.
I don't think it matters.
Do you not?
No.
The truth doesn't matter.
Well, no, the truth matters.
No, the truth. Look. Piers Morgan, as a man who ran newspapers, knows that truth doesn't matter. He's one of the foundational architects of the post-truth world.
Yeah, absolutely.
He absolutely understands that. But he has to come out and say, "Oh no, truth matters," obviously, because I'm a journalist. You understand, and I believe in the truth, and truth is truth, right? But he knows damn well that it's bollocks. That you, once you've set up the paradigm of independent people said you're full of shit and going to take all their money from them, that's it. That's all that matters. If you repeat the lie enough, people believe it. It becomes essentially indistinguishable from truth.
Exactly. And yeah, he knows full well that it's lies, damned lies and statistics.
Yep, absolutely.
And that will all get examined and all come out. The bottom line, though, is the people who watched that debate, the first debate between the two of them, will have come away with that in their head. 2000, 2000, 2000. And they'll be asking themselves, why did Keir Starmer not immediately rebut it? What is he hiding? It plays into this idea the Tories keep saying about Labour. They're hiding the fact they want to ramp up taxation.
Okay. We have sorted the comms, I think. So let's talk now to...
No one cares. Fuck you. Hang on.
Oh, this
Claire. Okay.
This
Yeah,
is worth it.
I thought we were going back to. I thought we were going back to like indistinguishable white public schoolboy in Hall in Rochdale again.
No. Yeah, apparently in this clip, Vicky D. Sorry to collab my what I call her. Vicky D. actually goes super in on Claire Coutinho. It's pretty cool. Apparently, I've not seen it, but yeah.
Well, I'm hoping that you've set that up now. I'm hoping it's two-footed up. Let's fucking do it.
Security and Net Zero Secretary, and Liz Kendall, who is the Shadow
Work
and Pensions Secretary. Thank you very much for talking to
Liz.
Newsnight and our...
Hey, two right-wing wankers. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Our audience. Let's start with you, Liz Kendall. Why did it take so long for Keir Starmer to rebut that figure of £2,000?
I think he was crystal clear that we are not going to be raising taxes on working people, but that we will be closing tax loopholes and the non-dom tax status to fund the extra appointments we need in the NHS to cut waiting times. We will be...
Honestly, I think I'm going to have to hand over my title as the best leftist in the world to Newsnight, because this audio is the most leftist I've ever heard.
True.
It makes my amateurish bullshit stream seem professional and slick.
It sounds like that they're getting the Liz Kendall audio from Claire Coutinho's lapel mic.
Yeah, or just from a random bloke walking around somewhere in the room, maybe.
getting rid of the tax breaks enjoyed by private schools to fund more teachers in our classes, so all children have the chance to get on. I thought it was pretty honest with people, where we will raise taxes, what we will spend that money on, and I think it's just desperate stuff from the Tories. It's not true, it's made up, and I think the public will see through that.
Claire Coutinho, where did you get this £2,000 figure from? Because it's not an impartial, independent figure, is it? It's your own Tory special advisors.
Their audio is so bad that presumably someone in the back room has turned down the volume whilst Vicky D is talking, because even her mic is being interfered with by the fucking noise in that room. 100 miles, well, Salford, but 300 miles away from where they are. That's mental. That's very, very silly.
Who've added this up and come up with the sums.
Turn it back up.
No, not at all. So this is a figure which has come up by Treasury officials. So those are independent, impartial civil servants. And what they've done is very simple. They've added up the costs of the policies that the Labour Party have said that they want to put in place in the next Parliament. And the figure that that comes out with is an extra £2,000 of taxes for working families. And the reason that I think Keir Starmer couldn't simply just say, no, I'm not doing that, for many, many times he was challenged on this question, is because it's true.
I mean, Victoria, you put rubbish in, you get rubbish out, and that's what this is.
That's independent civil servants in the Treasury.
I'm going to pull you up on that, Claire Coutinho. I'm going to pull you up on that. They're not independent, they're not impartial.
Turn it down again.
On which the calculations are based have been made by Tory special advisors, their political appointees, and you and
hang on a second.
no, hang on, and that is misleading to voters and therefore very disrespectful.
So can I just say, those numbers are created by the Treasury, and there's very strict rules.
The Treasury is controlled by you. You are the government.
Yeah, hang on. Those are created by the organisation that we run. It's independent. What the fuck are you talking about? The Treasury is not some sort of non-partisan arbiter of truth. It's a fucking organ of government. What the fuck are you? What is this? The level of nonsense this government comes out with. They'll just say the most absurd shit. And it doesn't get challenged most of the time. Vicky D for once, and I'm now calling her Vicky D. Fuck me. Victoria Derbyshire is actually going in on her, and rightly so.
True.
Basic journalism for the win. Woo.
Journalism a lot, Bell. Woo woo.
If you think that the Treasury would just add up anything that Tory special advisors gave them, no matter what it was, and come out with a figure, which is back.
100%, absolutely. They absolutely would do that. Thank you very much for asking me that question. I 100% believe they would.
Is this the same organisation that said that Liz Truss's changes were going to be awesome and revolutionise the country and make us the economic powerhouse of the world?
To be fair to them, Kev, Liz Truss's plans were so dumb. They didn't even get reports from the Treasury or the Office of Budget Responsibility. That's how stupid they were.
By the Treasury, then you're sorely mistaken.
Okay, well, let me go back to Liz Kendall.
Like I said, is an assessment created by the Treasury.
Labour are no better, are they, Liz Kendall? Because you're claiming the Tories are going to cut national insurance and inheritance tax when they've promised no such thing.
On the 7th of May, in Treasury questions, Jeremy Hunt, the Chancellor...
Oh, this is rubbish.
...said... But it is our policy to abolish national insurance contributions. He said, you look up in Hansard, the fantastic service that we get that puts everything that's said in Parliament on the record. It is our...
To be fair, there's slightly more credence to that claim if you're going to do they might not say it, but this is what they're planning to do secretly, line of argumentation, which is fine, because I think that, they've said that is their aspiration, right? Whatever. But Keir Starmer came out and said that it was their policy right now, which isn't actually true.
I mean, again, it's quite stupid to have all of these debates before a manifesto's been released. Otherwise, it's just arbitrary based on what hearsay and things that people said and maybe some policy documentation. Until you actually have a manifesto release, which is next week, I believe, this debate seems pretty pointless because you can't really hold people to your scrutiny until you actually see what the figures look like. And then because they've allowed it to happen now, Rishi Sunak's been able to make up these bonkers nonsense figures out of nowhere with the help of politically appointed people from the Treasury, and we're having a conversation about something that's based on fucking lies.
Yeah, it is the one advantage, I guess, of having a debate prior to a manifesto launch is to see the difference between the nonsense they've come up with in the initial debate and whatever gets published next week. Is that something? But again, that's just for like nerds like me and you who would even notice that discrepancy. You know.
Our policy, and national insurance helps fund people's pensions and the NHS. And you, Victoria, if we'd made it said this is our policy, you'd say to us, where's the 46 billion coming from? I mean, he has said it time and you know what, they can't have it both ways. You know, we have seen the highest tax rate for 70 years in this country. Now they're talking about 46 billion pounds at least of unfunded spending on national insurance, and I think it's right we hold them to account for what Jeremy Hunt has said.
You know, Liz Kendall, they have not promised to do that. Claire Coutinho, do come in for 1 second. Go.
To be fair, she's torched both of them. This is
yeah.
impartial BBC journalism for once.
Yeah, as well she should. As well she should torch both of them. They're both chatting absolute fucking shit. They're both talking shit. It's all rhetoric. It's all figures they've plucked out of thin air for promises that haven't been made by either party in this, what is quite frankly a really dirty election, because they know that neither of them are running on any real policy. So you have to make up the other people's policies because both of them are fucking scared of actually presenting the country with a real bloody choice, which is why everybody feels so completely disillusioned with politics and has allowed space for people like Nigel Farage to want to seize on the anti-Westminster sentiment. Again, I said on Curtis's stream on Monday, and I will say it again right now, that we on the left need to be the people who are going to be there to provide something that is outside of the realm of the fucking gruel that's being served up by Westminster. We need to be the radicals. We need to be the populists, because otherwise real monsters from the far right are going to fill that gap.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Correct.
Yes, sorry, I just think it's really important to say that every single Labour MP, including Liz, stood on a manifesto in 2019 to raise taxes to their highest ever level. And that was before we had a pandemic.
Changed the
and that
party
was
from then.
before we had
Thank
inflation.
goodness.
Well, I mean, you were
Oh my
happy to
god,
support that
oh no,
2019.
poor. I can't believe in 2019 the Labour Party offered something different from 45 years of neoliberal shit, and that was really good as far as I'm concerned. And they're going like, no, nothing different. We promise you, we've changed the Labour Party so that we're identical to the Tories now. You can't use this attack line. God, I hate the politics of this country.
When did you become a Nazi? I didn't
know.
realise.
I'm so
no.
blatant
So
anti-Semitism on the No Justice
so
stream
much
today.
anti-Semitism. The Jumbly Crumbling's energy is off the charts tonight.
And that was before we had a global pandemic and a global inflation crisis. So yes, we took really difficult choices.
Right.
And yes, we spent a lot of money to protect livelihoods and jobs and
on the
people.
subject of
but now
difficult
there's a very
choices.
clear choice. We are bringing taxes down and they're increasing them.
And I'm going to pull you up on that. The tax burden is going up. It's going up under the Tories. It will continue to go up in the next Parliament. I want to...
Personal taxation, we set out very clear...
She's just like, after everything they say, no, that's bollocks. Here's the truth. Next question. Good.
absolutely. I mean, literally, it's like
I'm here for it. Yeah.
It's like they should get David Mitchell to be a foil as well. Like just on the news all the time, just going, "Oh, this is pish, isn't it?"
Exactly. His kind of angry, annoyed at everything attitude, I think, would serve the country rather well.
Absolutely.
So a lot better than Piers Morgan going, well, actually, I think Rishi Sunak's awesome, or whatever. You know, fuck that. It's not journalism.
Yeah, the tax burden's going up. Today it's at 36.1% of GDP. It's going up to 37.1% of GDP by 28-29. So let me ask both of you, quick...
Absolutely scorched. There's nothing you can do. Because those stats are basically correct, yeah. Those are, again, who produced those stats? Oh, the organisation you were just praying in aid of. The fucking, the Exchequer.
The Treasury.
Yeah. Treasury, yeah. That's who did that.
Quick, straight question. I'm assuming you both believe voters deserve honesty, yes?
No. Who's going to say no there?
Look at it like the really slow nod. It's just like they know that they know that they're bullshitting.
Yeah.
Well, you can say it out loud if you want, if you actually believe.
But why? What the fuck is this? She's just flexing on him now. She's just like, I've absolutely killed both of you. So now I'm just going to play with you like a cat with a half-dead mouse. Do you dickheads believe in truth? No? What?
Literally, I hate to make a wizard lady reference, but it's literally just like it's real Professor McGonagall vibes going. It's always you three, isn't it? Like literally, like a pissed off head teacher dealing with children who won't admit that they've done something wrong.
Yeah, yeah.
Go on, be honest.
I did, just
we just
of course.
said yes.
Right, okay, sorry. Forgive me, it's quite noisy there. I apologise. I apologise.
Oh, ruined it.
And that is
Very
interesting.
noisy here.
It's interesting that you both say yes, voters deserve honesty, because neither of your bosses appear to want to talk about the real trade-offs that are coming after this election, irrespective of who wins. I'm quoting Paul Johnson here from the Institute for Fiscal Studies. And this is what he said at the weekend. 10 days in, and there's no hint of openness about the real choices the winners of this election will face. It's completely obvious. Either they will junk their promises on getting debt down, or they'll cut spending, or they'll raise taxes. We deserve some honesty. So you've got a chance to be honest with Newsnight viewers tonight.
Yeah.
What is it going to be, Claire Coutinho?
So I think the really important thing is if you want to fund public services, and we've said that spending will increase, is you need to have a strong economy. And when you look at Labour's energy plans,
I'm going to stop you there because that wasn't the
billions
question.
of pounds of
I'm
investment.
so sorry.
Literally.
This is a murder. We're watching an
my
actual execution.
Call the police. Je telephone la police.
This is.
It's true. I mean, she's right. So they're not answering the question. And again, both parties just doing this dance where they go, well, if we want to fund public services, we need to grow the economy. How are you going to do that? Press the big red grow the economy button. I'm losing my mind. I want to be
honestly, I love the vibes here. It reminds me of when Richard Madeley had I forget which government minister it was. It doesn't even matter. Basically saying, just cutting the interview off halfway through. If you're not going to talk, if you're not going to answer my questions, we'll just leave it there then and cut him off. Yeah,
literally. Or like when Krishna Guru Murthy was interviewing David Mensa and cut him off and saying, I'm not going to let you do the propaganda bit.
Yeah, exactly. I think even the journalists are getting sick of this shit now.
Absolutely, as well they should be. The public is sick of this shit. To me, I mean, obviously we're laughing at how funny this interview is, but let's be serious for a minute. It really does cheapen. It denigrates the democracy of this country that these people won't answer fucking questions. There's a clip from Question Time in 2010 from a lady in the Question Time audience, and she just says straight up to the panelists and just say, do you just think that we're all ignorant and that we don't think that we're worth answering? We have a right to have our questions answered. Teflon Dave, nothing ever sticks. Ed Balls, you're just as bad. And I'm like, we have a right to have our questions answered. No, you're forgetting you work for us. We pay for you. You're here to represent us. And I'm like, yeah, damn fucking straight. Liz Kendall swatting off with £80,000 a year of the taxpayers' bills. And I'm just like, you at the very least do your fucking job and answer questions and be honest and give us a real policy to vote for, rather than pretending that there's this mythical growing the economy that you can pluck out of the fucking ether without having a real plan to deliver it. Likewise with Claire Coutinho. I'm sick of it. I'm absolutely fucking sick of it on everybody's account, apart from the small minor parties who actually seem to want to be truthful with the things that they believe. At least the SNP, right? They may piss people off by only caring about independence, for example, or having it at the forefront, but at least they believe in something. At least they come up and say, this is what we believe. This is what we're committing to. These are real concrete policies we want to deliver come the next election.
Exactly. If you vote for the SNP, you know what you're actually voting for. There's an option 100%. You're voting for. They will try and implement that. That's what it should fucking be. That shouldn't be an aberration from the norm.
Exactly, 100%. And somebody's pointed out in chat, I mean, apart from Victoria, Derbyshire, we don't have the journalists of the Paxman era. Yeah. There's when is the next time we're going to get a "did you threaten to overrule him" moment? It's not going to happen because these absolutely supine, completely cucked, lobby journalists who only care about access refuse to hold our politicians to account because they've all been to the same schools, they all went to the same universities, they all end up drinking together cocktails at the Spectator Garden Party, and they don't want to lose out on the gossip that they get first access to be able to be the first person to break the story, to be able to pay their shareholders. They're not there to hold power to account. They're there to be fucking foils for our political class. It's fucking pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic. And I'm glad.
They're not there to hold the people's feet to the fire or hold them accountable. They're there to be essentially propaganda dissemination tools.
It's not even necessarily propaganda. It's a choreographed dance. I don't think they really care whether or not that it's being propaganda or whether it isn't. As long as they get the ratings, as long as the Westminster psychodrama continues, and the interest.
Client journalists. That's the ones I'm really referring to.
There
are plenty of like just useless journalists, of course. Yeah.
Oh yeah, but that's fair. I mean, they're all useless, but all for different reasons. Because there are plenty of client journalists who are literally just there to report what their party of choice wants them to report. They don't have a single scrutiny,
and they don't even get a safe seat at the end of it.
No, like Sebastian Payne, exactly right. They don't actually subject anybody to any scrutiny. They're just there to parrot lines. But even the people who are ostensibly there to provide scrutiny, the Sophie Ridges of this world, for example, they don't even do that because the scrutiny on the things that actually matter, like for example, whether or not they're being actually serious, actually honest with the public about the state of what kind of fiscal policy that they're actually proposing for the country. They're too busy talking about, whether or not this thing was happening behind closed doors in Westminster, which nobody should necessarily have to care about. But we're made to care about it because people who went to private school care about it. It's pathetic.
Yeah.
It's stenography. Stenography is exactly what it is, Rohak. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. True. We're going to go back 20 seconds because I do want to get the full power of the... No, I'm just going to stop you. You're talking shit.
Yeah, so run that one back. Just quick, give us a rewind, Craig David style.
You've got a chance to be honest with Newsnight viewers tonight. What is it going to be, Claire Coutinho?
So I think the really important thing is if you want to fund public services, and we've said that spending will increase, is you need to have a strong economy. And when you look at Labour's energy plans,
I'm going to stop you there because that wasn't the question. I'm so sorry. Because we're short of time.
No, but I think this is really important.
I'm sure you do.
The economy for public
I'm sure you do. We're short
I'll
of
give
time.
it a go, Victoria. I'll give it a go.
So let me run through the options
We've set
again.
out where we will raise taxes.
Let me run through the options again. Oh God, this is sexy. Honestly, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
We've set out where we will raise taxes on non-doms, private schools to fund our public services. But the one thing we haven't talked about here is reform, because I think we can get more from existing funding in the NHS and in my area on work, because I think we could do so much more to get people into work.
When she said reform, I thought she meant the party. I was like, what?
But it's the same thing. This is exactly what David Cameron banged on about for 6 years when he was Prime Minister. We're going to make public services more efficient so they have the same level of service delivery, but we spend less money on it. That's it's not real austerity. It's fake austerity because we're not going to reduce service delivery. Did they find those efficiency savings that they could maintain service delivery with? Of course they fucking didn't. The NHS was already incredibly efficient. It was one of the most efficient health services in the world, especially whilst being underfunded by the Conservative government. What did we get? A reduction in service provision. So what Liz Kendall is basically saying here, unless she can somehow be better finding these inefficiencies that don't exist in our public services, she's promising to be identical to David Cameron and just cut service provision, or at the very least keep service provision as bad as it is currently. And that's the answer that she's giving here.
Yeah, it's basically austerity. She's just offering us more austerity.
Yeah, exactly.
To come back to what Paul Johnson said. He's the expert.
The benefits bill.
He knows more than me. He knows, with respect, more than you two in terms of the finances.
Reform of the public services is a vital part. I don't always believe money is the answer. Investment is crucial, but it's not the whole answer. Reform of our public services too, to root out waste and inefficiency and deliver better services to patients and parents and the public. That's a key part of our plan too.
We've also set out similar
Okay,
proposals.
right.
I think the question here is what are the...
Pause. At the very least, right, I know I rag on Liz Kendall because I hate 4% Liz with like a burning passion. I really despise her. But I'll give her dues. At least she said, well, we do want to have some amount of additional tax revenue. We do want to put VAT on private schools. There is going to be a windfall tax on oil and gas, and there's going to be like a tiny amount, like a minuscule amount of extra non-dom taxing they're going to get, right? Fair enough. But again, that's still going to leave us with austerity budgets. That's still going to leave us with the stripped away public services that Jeremy Hunt is going to leave them.
Yeah.
That's not going to be enough. But at least she did answer somewhat the question that there was going to be some necessary increases in the tax base in this country. Whereas obviously Claire Coutinho is just running with the big red grow the economy button type thing. We need a strong economy. Except they don't even tell us what the strong economy will entail. At least Labour will say we have this green energy plan to be able to create new jobs. How that's going to work, wait and see, open the mystery box. Claire Coutinho just says Tories good economy thing. We do good economy. We are good economy party. I'm like, well, clearly you aren't. Look at Liz Truss. Look at George Osborne, the worst people ever to run our economy. Like, no, you can't just rely on the fact that you wear a blue rosette as your method to grandstand about future economic growth that you can't predict.
Yeah, exactly. No, you're quite right.
Differences between us, and the differences are, we have said very clearly, yes, we do want to prioritise cutting taxes on working families because we know the cost of living has been hard and we want to put more money back in people's pockets, and we've been very clear and very honest about that. And actually what we saw in the debate was whether it was the tax on people's pensions or the £2,000 tax on working families, Labour are not being honest with people on the costs that they are going to.
I think your viewers want to hear about what's going to change and a positive programme for the future, and I think Keir Starmer nailed it on.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. They do want to hear that, and you're not going to offer that.
And also, why aren't you mentioning the fact that the pension tax is the Tory plan, which they're taking their own voters out of because of taxes they chose to do? Why are you not pushing back? Why are two people not pushing back on this from the Labour Party? What the hell is going on?
Their comms team really do have to fucking get around and say, look, guys, we do have to push back on this, because if it's 6 weeks of this actually will hurt their
yeah, absolutely, because they're almost winning amongst like over 65s, which they never ever usually do, and this will massively tank them down amongst this demographic. Someone who's really, really kind of volatile to tax and spend policies changing how they vote.
And they get out and vote. So even a small change in percentage there has an outsized effect on the actual percentage of the vote that they have in terms of the raw vote, and therefore the seats that will be won or lost. And that's, I think, the Tories' plan is basically, can we shore up old people votes and therefore not completely bottom out? And there are the Labour Party seem intent on allowing them to do that, which is, I don't think, a great strategy. But I mean, I think they'd probably take 120 seat majority or something instead of 200 or whatever, maybe, I don't know.
On that tonight. All right, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much, both of you. Really appreciate it, against the noise and everything.
Why say thank you?
I wish you'd been more sarcastic. Like done a Diane Abbott and tweeted out like a low quality JPEG of them both. Thank you for coming on the show.
Yeah,
but
I suppose you're saying thank you for coming on and allowing me to look like the biggest Chad in the room, even though Mick Lynch is right there. Jesus.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, by the way,
so thank you very much.
Whilst we're here, if you're enjoying the content, we've been going for 3.5 hours now. There is actually quite a lot. They've got over 200 people watching on YouTube. We had a maximum of 300 tonight. That's crazy. Welcome everybody, and if you're a new viewer, if you're enjoying the content, you can subscribe on Twitch for $4.99 or for free with Twitch Prime by linking your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account. It gets you a free sub every single month to keep us employed here on Twitch.tv, which gets you access to our animated and static emotes in Twitch chat, as well as ad-free viewing over on Twitch. If you have a message you want read out, 100 bits gets you text-to-speech on my Twitch stream, 200 on Kev's stream for a message. If you want messages read out on YouTube, you can super chat your message in, and then Kev and I will be able to see it and read it out. And also, you can become a member on YouTube for as little as 99p, which is cheaper than a can of Red Stripe on both of our ends, which gets you access to our static emotes in YouTube chat, and indeed in the YouTube comments section. But if you want to support the streams on YouTube, the best way to do so, in my opinion, I don't know whether Kev agrees, but I will put forward this, you can gift memberships. It's 99p on my stream, $2.99 each on Kev's stream, to spread the love around, boost the stream in the algorithm, and help keep us employed here on youtube.com. Again, we cannot do what we do without the generosity of our supporters. So if you want to be able to help keep this content going, that's the best way to do so.
I do agree with you, for what it's worth.
Very much for giving our viewers your time. Claire Coutinho from the Conservatives and Liz Kendall from Labour. Mick Lynch, what do you think about Labour essentially sticking to the same fiscal rules as the Conservatives? You alluded to it earlier. Do you understand why that is Sir Keir Starmer's strategy?
I understand why they think they should do it, but I do think it's a mistake. We need an alternative industrial and economic strategy. We need to reskill the country, get good jobs into working class communities. We need to re-equip working class housing. That will allow us to tackle global warming and all the rest of it. They had a good plan. The 28 billion a year was a good plan. You have to borrow to re-equip the country for the future. And they should be out defending that strategy. Instead, they've junked it, which is a worrying retreat.
But
we wanted them to be bold.
They argue things changed after Liz Truss, and that's why they junked it. Do you not believe that?
But you get returns on investment. If you invest in people's jobs and their skills and their future, and in our housing stock, and we had bold ideas such as council housing.
The entire framing of this, we know that austerity is more fucking expensive in the long run, and it just immiserates people.
Yeah,
so
like
let's not do that.
Yeah, why spend all this money on housing benefit with rents like sky high when we could just spend that money on new council housing, which would bring down rents anyway, and also bring in extra revenue from council rents into our already starved from funding local authorities? Like Mitchling, again, 100% correct. We need a bolder plan. We need to borrow to invest to be able to get returns. Even with bond yields slightly higher, they're not massively high in real terms. Again, I'll go back to what I said before. With 200% debt to GDP ratio, in the wake of the Second World War, Clement Attlee created like the post-war consensus, which helped bring the debt down by investing and borrowing to grow the economy, which is the actual way you do it. I have a plan here to grow the economy, which Labour don't seem to have. And on top of that, we need to be able to create those jobs, create the communities of the future, re-industrialise the communities in the north that were destroyed under Thatcher and Blair, and build enough council housing to be able to house the people who need not just cheaper housing, not just better quality housing, but also secure housing. Rather than being at the mercy of private landlords, they need to be able to have a secure tenancy for life from a council house, and we need to end right to buy to make sure they stay in the public sector, at least in, the medium to short term.
Yeah. And they're gonna have to invest a lot more, because you're not just building back from like a baseline of, I don't know, whatever normality would be. These systems, the infrastructure has been totally hollowed out. The fucking country is on its knees here. You're gonna have to invest enormously just to get it back up to the level it previously was at, let alone improving anything.
Mm-hmm.
And yet they're offering us, let's nibble around the edge of this. We'll close a loophole on the non-doms.
Again, and exactly, it's like what I said before as well, in that this idea that we can grow the economy without spending, and then we'll use that grown economy to be able to spend on public services. Again, it's like trying to expect a flower to grow before you've watered it. Like, you need to water the flower, and then you'll be able to harvest the crops. You can't just go, well, I will water my crops once they've started growing and provided me with fruit. And I'm just like, well, no, they're just going to fucking die, which is what will happen to our economy. We can't get the people reskilled back into our workforce until we fund the NHS, because the NHS is what's going to get people off of the long-term sickness problems that's causing such a massive issue with levels of workforce participation in this country. We can't wait for them to be in the workforce generating productive capacity to then spend on the NHS if we haven't fixed the NHS first. It just doesn't work. It's not going to be a way that we actually solve the economic problems of this country unless we borrow to invest, unless we tax the rich.
Very true. And I will water those plants with the tears of my enemies.
Not social housing, council houses being built to address working class needs. The working class would support that. And what working people aren't finding is they're getting a very bold Labour policy. What they will do is vote to get the Tories out. And we need to get Labour in order to get the Tories out. And that's what this election will be about. And that's disappointing. It should be about ideas. It should be about an alternative. Even if you disagree with it, it would be nice to be having that debate about an alternative.
You will remember 1997, of course.
Yeah.
And Tony Blair and Gordon Brown stuck to the Conservative spending limits. Sir Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves are following that playbook, and they are 20 percentage points ahead. So they would say it's probably been a wise move, wouldn't it?
Yeah, listen, again, just to reiterate, the way the polls are at the moment, Labour are heading for a massive, possibly historic.
The idea that they should stick to Tory spending plans when Blair inherited a boom economy off the back of the fumes of the financial sector deregulation, as if they can take that economic growth and then run with it with the same spending plans, As if it's the same situation now where we have no growth, where we don't have a boom economy, where we don't have that same ability to be able to spend without having to worry about how much you tax. Like, this is not the same situation. I mean, like, obviously I love Vicky D, but like this constant idea that we live in the 1997 world is really pervasive in the politics in this country. I'm like, no, it's different. We're not in a 97 world. We're in a 1945 world. We've essentially just come out of a war economy. That's what the pandemic was. The pandemic created a war economy, and it will create radical levels of investment and expansion to be able to rebuild the problems this country has. Again, to respond to requote Keynes, if we can do it, we can afford it. It's as simple as that.
He also said, "I like big butts and I cannot lie."
True.
That was the thing. That was the thing that Keynes said. And to be fair, you know what? I respect him for that. It was a bold plan at the time.
I almost
landslide
said
win.
I almost said Maynard James Keenan rather than John Maynard Keynes there, which would have been
that is a very different person. Yes.
But Mick's absolutely right. The real problem's going to come the day after the election for Labour. And if they dig themselves into a hole, which they're currently doing, of not really being straight with people, not really committing to anything that is more than tinkering around the edges, we're all going to wake up and think, oh, brave new world, Labour after 14 years. And what are they actually going to be able to do? Because at the moment, public finances in this country are in the tank.
But Labour are saying that. So Keir Starmer is saying that. So is Rachel Reeves. They are saying it will be a very poor economic inheritance and we will not be able to do, Labour say, if they win, all the things that we would want to do.
But they will end the incompetence and the corruption and the merry-go-round of politicians just looking after themselves.
Will they?
People are really sick.
Will they?
Well, I think
They
they're very
absolutely
confident.
will not.
I think they're more competent.
Whoa, Mick.
Nick, what's going on here, chap?
I thought you were more cynical than this, Mick. I mean, I guess they've not been affiliated for Labour for donkey's years now. The RMT have, so you might not be up to date with the kind of chicanery that goes around in the back of right-wing Labour Party HQ. But I thought you were a little more credulous than this. A little less credulous, sorry.
Yeah, he's not. Honestly, he's seeding the Chad energy in the room to Vicky D tonight.
And people, I think they're more straightforward people, but they need to get some vision. And what people want to hear is, what are Keir Starmer's values? Is he going to give working class people an agenda they can support? We want the full New Deal for workers. We want a greater role for the state. I think people support that in terms of what the energy companies are doing, what our civic infrastructure is like. We need to refund our council services. They're on their knees. Councillors of all parties will want to be hearing that we're going to get democracy back by allowing them to run their services with a budget.
And what
so
would
you can do that as a moderate.
When it comes to, for example, if Labour do win, the junior doctors strike, the fact that
Well, you have to fund it. What I would be saying, when he was asked that question, I'll have to put some funding in to satisfy, to some extent, not the full demand. No trade unionist expects to get the full demand. But you have to say to people, I will resolve this doctor's dispute by putting some funds into it. That's what you have to say.
I thought Richie Sunak made a good point. Obviously, they've been trying to resolve this. Obviously, the reps for the junior doctors are adamant they want their 35%. This will now be on Keir Starmer's door, likely, in 5 weeks' time. I thought, again, take immigration. We all know there's a massive problem in this country, both with the small boats issue and also...
No, I'm sorry. I fucking refuse to accept this. It's not a massive issue. I'm not saying it's not an issue, but it's a massive issue because cunts like you keep talking about it like it's the great existential threat of our time. And it isn't. It's some desperate people in small boats.
Exactly, 100%. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
It's so sickening to me that this is a big thing. And again, it's this kind of wank that allows rubbish, just trash like Nigel Farage, political credence in a way that he should never have. He's a fucking spiv. Fuck him off.
In a much bigger way, the legal migration issue, the net numbers are ridiculous. They are unsustainable for this country. We also have 5 million people at home not working. Right? None of this is right in a thriving democratic country like ours. So where's the big idea? What Keir Starmer said about the boats was, we're going to smash the gangs. It's just rhetoric. It's meaningless.
Both parties are exactly...
From both sides.
Well, I think the Rwanda plan was nonsensical.
Sure, you've made that point before. But both parties are the same in terms of saying we will reduce net migration. Neither is willing to put a target on it. Neither is willing to put a cap on it, although they talk about a cap, but there's no figure. So in terms of if you're a voter who wants to see net migration come down, then you could conclude that both promises are meaningless.
And both are being dishonest.
But the Tories and the people that run the economy in this country wanted high migration. So they had the opportunity to deal with that. But we've had very high migration because that's the way the wages system works in this country. We've had waves of outsourcing and wages have been dropping like a stone.
Okay.
So if we'd addressed the wages problem, we wouldn't have needed the levels of migration.
And Nigel Farage has now intervened in this election, as we know. He's now a candidate. I wonder if, in part, because of the way you were goading him on Question Time last week, let's just have a look.
These two bitches, yeah, that was fun.
He's bottled it.
Piers, you've never had the bottle to stand.
You bottled it, mate. I'm not a politician.
You've stood. No one.
I'm not a politician.
You're not even a TV.
You bottled it.
But you're now preparing.
Yeah, you're pretending to represent the party. You're not.
What we need is Dylan to intervene now and go, look, I'll mute you all. You're going to show up, I'll mute you.
I'm prepared to risk it.
Yeah, I think I did goad him into it because there's something ridiculous about him sitting there representing a party that he's not even running for. And I feel sorry for Richard Tice, who's just been obviously carved out for the big ego of Nigel.
Oh, I thought he was going to say cocked out. Oh, no.
Oh, my God. That was so
that would have
funny.
been amazing. Oh, that would have been, I mean, just the end of human civilization, I think. But it would have been funny. Fuck me.
Yeah.
Farage. But also, I mean, the great unmentioned is Brexit. No one's talking about Brexit. Well, 8 years after that referendum, I was somebody who voted Remain, was adamant you can't just have another referendum immediately. I just thought that Ramoning that was going on was ridiculous. But I'm sorry, after 8 years, given the state of the supposed control of our borders, which is terrible, and given the effect, the self-harming effect on our economy, surely it's time that Labour had an honest conversation about where the polling is on Brexit, which is...
And it's interesting, isn't it, that post Brexit, we've now got, I think, on this panel, we've got a rightoid who's going to argue we should rejoin the European Union, and a leftoid saying, actually, no, we probably shouldn't.
I mean, that's the traditional position, isn't it?
Exactly.
We're right back in the 1970s.
Yeah, we've gone back to 1972 again.
Yeah,
is
exactly.
Tony Benn going to haunt me now? Is that what's going to happen? I mean, I wouldn't mind it, as goes to go. Tone, Anthony.
Although to be fair, Mick Lynch is also right in the. Even if we did rejoin the European Union and we had more frictionless immigration, if we had proper trade union laws and proper collective bargaining agreements, it would make it harder for people to undercut those wages anyway. It would make it less likely for people to want to import foreign labour if there was a better collective bargaining system in this country, and we would be able to have the freedom of movement and the frictionless immigration without having to worry about labour market dilution.
Yeah.
Most people in this country would like another referendum to see whether they actually like what they've been given.
And the OBR still says it would represent a 4% hit. It will represent a 4% hit to the UK economy over 15 years. On the subject of Mr Farage, there's a Tory MP today called Marco Longhi in a red wall seat, essentially begging Nigel Farage and Reform not to stand candidates against, as he puts it, certain MPs who have a track record of Reform-type policies.
Well, they are begging. They're begging to be more right-wing. And Farage is a very dangerous politician. I think he's a...
Well, the Tories are a bit fucked because they've still got hundreds of seats they can't fill.
Yeah, literally.
They've got literally hundreds. I mean, presumably they've exhausted the sex offenders register, which is where they usually get their MPs from, apparently. So, but I don't know, maybe they'd have to empty out the prisons or something. Maybe that's what they could do to create prison space. Get rid of the prisoners and make them stand for the Tories. Yeah.
I think there's apparently six Tory candidates might be defecting to Reform before the election, which would be absolutely hilarious if there's no Tory candidate in seats because they've defected to Reform after the end of this elections period.
That would be mental and brilliant. You know what? Fuck it.
Oh yeah, like Nigel Farage standing in this election might literally be the death knell of the Conservative Party. Like, he doesn't want to do a deal. It's clear to me he doesn't want to do a deal, and he wants to destroy them, either to usurp them or to be the phoenix that makes them rise from the ashes.
They can start having cops run. No, to be fair, the police don't particularly like the Tories either because they fucking hollowed out the police force as well.
They did, yeah.
Yeah, there's no love there. I mean, they're right-wing fuckheads, obviously, but they don't like the Tory party. Again, they've all of their core voter base. They've essentially lost significant chunks of it to apathy, and they won't vote, or the Reform Party. They're fucked.
racist. I think he's a charlatan.
He would push back on that if he was sitting here.
He'd be entitled to. But from what I've seen, he's convinced me that he's a racist, and he's prepared to pay with racism and xenophobia and nationalism.
Mick Lynch could just say, "Well, I've reached my breaking point, mate." What? I'm just going to say it.
Again,
I'm just gonna
this
say
is what
it.
happen. This is what happens. You don't have a political agenda to feel. You're just a union leader arguing for your personal interests and the interests of the people who you represent in your democratic position. He doesn't have to play the lobby game. Doesn't have to play the political. Doesn't have to play to the crowd of politics. Just goes, no, I think he's a fucking racist, mate. What of it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
A very dangerous way. And what he's trying to do is pull the Tory party to the right. I think that will destroy the Tory party historically, and it's a really dangerous position.
But don't you,
he'll do nothing
on the
for
Brexit
working
question,
people.
on the Brexit question, a majority voted to leave the European Union. In part, some people who voted Brexit would say, to reduce net migration.
Yes, they did.
So they might legitimately feel their promises have been broken.
Well, that's a matter they should take up with the Conservative Party. There were lots of problems with the European Union, and my union had problems with it as well. But most of these politicians are charlatan. They promise one thing and do another, and that's a real problem.
You are close to Rupert Murdoch. He is your boss. If he was...
When you say he's close to him, do you mean Rupert Murdoch is hanging out the back of him right now? Do you mean that? They are very close, yes.
Watching tonight, I wonder if someone would come out in support of Rishi Sunak or Keir Starmer on tonight's performance.
Well, the boss just got remarried in Los Angeles. I'd like to wish him all the very best for that. I don't know, is the honest answer.
What do you think? What's your
I don't know. It's interesting. I've been watching the coverage.
You must have had a conversation with him about it.
I haven't.
Honestly, when you do the marriage ceremony for a 93-year-old, the till death do us part bit must feel a little bit redundant. He must be like, that's a bit on the nose. Do you know what I mean? I can hear him breathing.
So, by the way, so say welcome to the chat, Delta the Canadian. I'm not British, but why does every election this year seem to be the worst possible candidates on every side? I mean, that is true. Most of the elections are like that, but there are some little green shoots. Pedro Sanchez winning in Spain, for example. Modi's losing his majority. The ANC have lost their majority as well.
Scheinbaum won in Mexico, and
Scheinbaum won in Mexico.
It's okay.
It's okay. And in fact, there may be terrible choices in Canada in terms of who's likely to win, but at least you've got Jagmeet Singh. He may be ineffectual and useless, but at least he's a nice guy.
I was just going to say, I think the one difference between Canada and us is that when you see one of our political leaders as brown as Rishi Sunak is, that's not paint. That's actually the colour of skin he has, unlike in Canada where sometimes that's not always. Do you know what I mean? Just so. And he's the least racist of the two main leaders. Fucking hell.
No, all I know is they're giving Labour a fair shake, which is, an interesting sign. You're seeing the same thing with the Daily Mail. So papers that have been historically pretty negative towards Labour in the last maybe 10 years, starting to give them at least a fair platform. But again, the pressure there is on Keir Starmer. He's the front runner. He's the odds-on favourite now. He's got to, I think we both agree about this, he's got to show the country what he really stands for. I didn't get that feeling from that debate tonight. But what I did get a feeling was that the guy who's on his knees and basically, the captain of the Titanic, Rishi Sunak, came out fighting, and I think he did himself some credit.
Okay, let's go back.
Yeah, the bar's so low for what you expect from this Tory campaign that anything above that you got to be reasonably happy with from the Tory perspective. And he definitely did above where the general tenor of this campaign has been. So
absolutely, he was helped by Keir Starmer being fucking useless as well. But
that's true. Yeah.
Also a moderator, a very, very helpful moderator.
Oh yeah, very. I mean, it was essentially a Tory home game.
Yeah.
To Nick in the spin room in Manchester. So
don't give a fuck, mate. Don't care.
I think that's everything now. Yeah, just some newspapers things.
Hang on, hang on. Hey, do you want to look at milkshaking? Milkshake.
I mean, it's like 1 a.m. and I need.
Yeah, no, we'll leave it. Okay. Fair enough. Okay. Glad I heard that today. That's
oh
good.
My god! Oh, Jesus Christ, that was a mission. That really was. Bloody hell! Thanks for sticking with us, all of the viewers who've come in today. Really appreciate all of the gifts, subs, all of the people who've jumped in to say hello. It's been good. It's been good.
It's been emotional. Yeah. Anyway, everyone go and follow No Justice MTG on Well, on all the fucking platforms. Yeah.
Likewise, and everyone also go follow Kevin Logan. Obviously not on Twitter anymore, but on
No.
Twitch at KFLogan1875 and YouTuber at Ploppy111.
My freedoms of speeches have been killed, murdered by Elon
Absolutely,
Musk.
yeah. But unfortunately, comedy is actually completely fucking banned on Twitter now.
True. Although I'm not sure I was necessarily joking in what I said. No, I'm only playing. I'm only playing just in case MI5 or the police are listening. I am joking. Shut the fuck up. Anyway,
like YouTube, I'm going to be raiding into President Sunday. Who should we raid on Twitch? Adrienne Vixen just gone live.
Yeah, we can do that. Okay, everyone go and say hello to Adrian, who is a good person.
Absolutely. And again, appreciate you everyone sticking around. Please consider throwing money at me and Kev on Patreon as well.
Yes, that is also an option that is available. Yes, I'll be back. Well, today, I guess. With I'm going to be doing a show with Christy, so we'll probably talk a bit more about American stuff, and then maybe we'll be back Thursday for question time. Maybe.
Absolutely, be back for Thursday for question time. Yeah, I'll be down for that. I'll be back tomorrow in the afternoon stream tomorrow. Well, it would have been today if it wasn't for the debate. So I'll be back in the afternoon tomorrow, probably covering more debate fallout, more UK politics, as we do on this channel every single day.
Cool. Thank you, everybody.